Hi. Hey. This is also my first stream with glasses. Got reading glasses now. I'm aging, it would seem. And here they are. So I hope everyone's having a good time. This, as you can tell by the number of tabs open right now, is going to be a rapid fire, what's the gist kind of stream. We are not going to be digging in too deep on anyone's, but pretty exciting as we see over here. Gearbox senior sound designer Presley Hynes, longtime chat denizen, and you know, in real talk all the time, hanging out, giving good tips, good ideas, and frequencies at frequencies is hopefully going to be on stream with me. I had some technical issues, and it may all come crumbling down around us, but I think it should be okay. We'll see what happens. If you don't know Presley, this is not their first time joining us on stream. It has happened before. I don't know when it was. Can I find out when it was easily? I want to, just for my own personal curiosity here. I can find it pretty easy, I think. Let me just do a quick search. I think we're good. August 20th, 2020. It's been a while. I was joking before the streams on Discord saying, yeah, been a while. And I already have a background image with your name on it. But it said BioWare audio artist, so it was a little bit outdated. Had to do a quick update there. But yes, if you don't know, previously worked, as I said, at BioWare on such games as Anthem, also worked on Dragon Age and God of War Ragnarok after that. Not at BioWare, obviously. PlayStation stuff, you know. And is now senior sound designer at Gearbox. So making moves. Pretty exciting. Let me mute our friend the Immortal. Hard game, by the way. Like, brutal game. Very hard game. And let me try to get Presley on the horn here. On the horn, they say, right? Let's see. Okay. Start call. Let's see what happens. Is it gonna be okay? Hey, hello. Okay. So, let me also, I got many moves to make here. I gotta go like this, and then I gotta go like, oh, it's just gone. Cool. Sweet. I had a Discord. It says right here it's there. Okay, give me a second. Give me a hot second. It doesn't see it. Oh, just Discord. Here we go. Okay, give me a second though. Give me a second. I don't want to do NDA stuff again. 1 second. We're going back to thanks. Wait, this. No, it should be. It should be okay. Let me just do this. Okay. And then show. Hey, it works. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Presley. Just hanging out so patiently. Jesus Christ.
It's great. It's good.
Okay. And how is volume on stream and stuff? I'm going to put you up a little bit, I think.
Yeah, sorry. I'm using my sort of crappy headset because Discord does not like my mic setup.
Oh, I see.
And never has.
Okay. Well, in the chat, please let us know if it's not going well. We haven't had a guest host on Real Talk for some time. And importantly, not since I changed interfaces. So even worse. So hopefully it's all good to go. And I can even change scenes. Hey, okay. I think we're good to go. It says a bit quiet. It says not music. Okay. Well, I will crank over time if the chat all agrees for sure. Presley, welcome. Thank you for dealing with all this nonsense. I'm
Thank you for having me and being down to collaborate with the Discord.
Yeah, I'm thrilled also that you've already been on here before, so you know this is not typical, like how just up on blocks this stream seems to be. But yeah, thanks again. So I do want to ask, and we haven't done this for a while, like I was saying, but in terms of guests on the stream, I mean this stream's all about looking at demo reels and portfolios and websites and just how you put yourself out there as someone up and coming in audio, and how how that might come across to those who are looking to recruit, like studios or indie developers or teams like ours, like third-party audio teams. And it can be helpful, or just a bit illuminating at times, just to know how others who are already doing it kind of got in the industry. So if you have just the briefest little campfire tale to share with us about how you got to where you are, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, totally. So I started out in music. I think a lot of people probably kind of take that route. I'm from a super small town, so we had no idea what kind of careers were available in the realm of audio other than go do music things. But after university, I went off to Vancouver Film School, uh, took the course there, which was pretty awesome. And then after that, got a junior position at BioWare, like 6 or 7 months after graduating. Um, did the contract thing for a while, had a number of like temporary contracts. And then yeah, kind of just went forward from there. So really it was VFS that sort of got me on the right track. And then from there kind of did every sort of freelance thing imaginable in my life to try to update my reel basically as much as possible to try to get a job. So,
What was the first game you worked on? Do you know?
Anthem.
It was Anthem. That's a hell of a first game to
Yeah.
work on, though.
Yeah, it was a little crazy.
Yeah, mine was Miki and Maveri's. Miki. No, it's called Maveri the Mad Scientist. That's what it was. It was called Miki and Maveri in development. It was a Find the Differences Flash game, and there was like 12 sounds.
That's awesome.
Also, what class were you at VFS? SD something?
86.
86. Okay, yeah, my co-founder Jeff Tangsock, I think, was SD 31. I think.
Nice.
I may be misremembering, but yeah, it's been a while. Good school, I've heard. Pretty good.
Yeah, they're good. It's busy. It's the busiest year ever. It's
Mm.
just a 1 year intensive and but worth it. You learn a lot from it.
Cool. Okay, so we have so much to get through. And maybe it'd be worth you just sort of giving a quick intro as far as what we're looking at, like why there are so many things to look at this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So, thank you again, Kevin, for collaborating with the Sound Design Discord for this past month. In the Sound Design Discord, there are monthly challenges that we put up, and I've been trying to get some more collaborations going through some of the months just to have a little bit more fun with it and have a little bit more variety in the challenges. For May, for the whole month of May, we decided that the challenge was going to be update your demo reel. Whether that's just the website, just the reel, a mix of the two, whatever it may be, let's all crack down and update all of our stuff, get our portfolios rolling and everything else. So everybody on the stream for this one are the folks that have submitted for this challenge.
Awesome. There are a lot of them. For reference, if anyone in chat's rolling into Real Talk for the first time, I guess I'll just do a quick intro for me as well, just in case that's the case. So my name is Kevin Regami. I'm creative director and co-founder at Power Up Audio here in Vancouver, and we do third-party audio support for a bunch of developers, largely sound design, some voiceover support here and there, like casting and directing and so forth, and also some music support here and there, although we're not really composers. We're all trained musically, and we play in bands and various things across the team, but we're not really focused on music these days. Usually we'll be working with other composers on a given project who are also working on that same thing, kind of collaborating where we can. But years ago, 2016, we began doing this stream, myself and Clay Entertainment, also Vancouver, Clay Entertainment's Matthew Martinson. We were seeing something of an issue with a lot of, shall we say, bad advice online, or absence of advice entirely, or bad feedback online, where someone up and coming would post their demo reel, their sound redesign, whatever it was, and the Reddit comments would all read, "Great, sounds amazing," and then we're listening to this thing saying, No, it doesn't. It doesn't sound amazing. There's room to improve for sure, but it's being adjudicated by other people who are also up and coming and might not have an ear for things or know what to look for, that kind of thing. Know what recruiters might look for. So we began doing this thing. We look at demo reels submitted by up and comers, aspiring folks looking to work in the game space. And we look at them from these criteria, from presentation, material selection, content quality, and distinction. Generally on stream, we have 1 or 2 to look at for 90 minutes. So this is what, 12 or something? It's a bunch. So it's going to be, as I said, the gist of feedback. And we're going to treat it like a gang audio demo derby at GDC, just like wham, bam, let's just keep slamming through this stuff. So, but just to get an idea as far as presentation goes, presentation encompasses things like if it's a website, if it's easy to navigate around and find things, if there's enough information or too much information, if there is, if the questions we have are answered is a really big thing. If there's a general aesthetic or branding identity of sorts there, if there's some kind of mindfulness given to the layout and scheme and so forth. For the demo reel, though, presentation encompasses things like the length and the flow and the various titling as far as indicating what these pieces are that are appearing in the demo reel. If there's splashes front and back, those kind of things. The transitions as well from piece to piece. For material selection, we're looking at what pieces appear in the portfolio on the website or in the demo reel. And if we just mute the demo reel and watch it through, can we glean some kind of info about what this person might be wanting to work on one day, like what their ambitions might be, or what their past work history looks like, or what their skill sets might be? This is without even listening to anything, just simply what are they implying about kind of what they've done and what they want to do. The third thing, content quality. Is this stuff good? Just is it at that ever hopefully increasing industry standard of awesome? Is there room to improve somewhere in terms of balance or panorama or frequency range or dynamics or dimension or interest? There probably is. I mean, we have a lot of room to improve. I know Presley does. I know I do. We're definitely all trying to get better all the time, right? And the fourth thing, distinction. Just are you standing out in some positive way? And bearing in mind for any given job position that's posted, especially for studio positions like PlayStation or Gearbox or teams like this, I guarantee there are hundreds of applications that are sent in, and oftentimes for one position. So it is highly, highly competitive. And if you aren't standing out in some positive way, then unfortunately you are simply risking just kind of fading into the background and blurring in with the rest of the applicants, and you're going to be dead in the water. So you got to stand out in some way, whether that is just your website slick, or your transitions in your demo reel are great, or you have a kind of weird skill you're showing off, or you have built a synth thing, or your sound is just significantly good, or whatever it might be. Maybe it's community involvement. Maybe you run a game jam. Maybe you are contributing articles to sound effect, or like to whatever. There's a lot of things you could be doing that would just help you kind of just nail that first impression in a bit stronger way. And yeah, it's damn important. So we've done enough talking. I'm looking at the clock being like, oh man, what's the math here as far as how much time to spend? But it's kind of funny though, Presley, because like this stream is going to be kind of indicative of what the desk of a recruiter might look like. I mean, we have all of these people who are like applying for a job, you know? We have all these tabs open. And I mean, how long in a not on stream environment, how long are you truthfully spending on each tab? You know, it's like you're gonna spend as much time until you think you get it, and then you're like, all right, I have 1,000 more to go. Close tab, moving on. Like make some notes, and we're done. Moving on, and only then might you come back to it later on if the notes are good enough. Was that sorry?
It's not a lot of time at all that you get, right? So this is definitely a really cool sort of demo.
Yeah, it's like my first GDC, I went to a talk, and there was I think it was Scott Gershon, who said that your goal, if you are applying to his studio, or if he is like looking at demo reels to adjudicate, to hire a candidate, whatever it might be, your goal is to make him want to hear more within 10 seconds. I think that's great advice, because if you've heard 10 seconds and it's like, all right, this is this is not it, for whatever reason it might be, this is not it, then the tab's getting closed because there are hundreds more, and they probably already heard some that in the first 10 seconds they're impressed. So they already know that that person back there is ahead of you, so you're just out of the running. Too bad. So 10 seconds, it's important. All right, and so if the chat is stoked, maybe terrified, we'll see. But no, this is all very much in good fun. We're definitely here to be collaborative and constructive and kind of all in the interest of, in the effort of trying to help people get hired here. So it's not a roast, not at all. So we'll start from the left, I guess. From the very first one, Presley was very kind to amass a long list of all of the people we're having a look at here. And let me just see if I can get in here and look at this without my machine exploding. I think I can. Yes, I can. Okay, the very first thing is Marwan. Oh, first off, so we have 9 who submitted both their website and reel, 6 submitting just a reel or a YouTube link with no website, and 2 folks submitting just a website and no reel. So the challenge was update your portfolio. I think that was the actual bold print in the Discord. So whatever that means for you, it's not for us to say like, oh, you didn't do it right. Like, it's just, if you're updating, you're putting your time in, that's fantastic. So let's jump into Marwan first. Okay, we got Squirtle in the corner right away. So
it's hilarious because I like how I can tell that who this is on the Discord from their username because of the Squirtle on the
okay, so let me also turn off my sidechain. I gotta do it in a tricky way though, and not with the button, because the button will cause echoes in Presley's ears for some reason. Who knows? Let's just start talking through this really fast though. So we have a website. It's a wixstudio.io my site 1 URL. Just in terms of very first impressions here, without listening to anything. We've said again and again on Real Talk in the past that seeing templates like this, like made with Wix Studio and the Wix kind of website and the very, very templatey looking stuff, it's not a death sentence. It's not the end of the world, but it simply is kind of missing a +1 where someone else might have very branded content, a nice looking URL. Maybe up top, it's got something like their name versus home, my site 1. There's definitely room to improve on that side of things, just in terms of very, very first impressions. And also, just this site, it's pretty trim. There's not a whole lot going on here, but that's good for this stream, so we can see a couple things and move on. So really quick, I'm a sound designer / SFX designer for video games. I've always been inspired by the audio side of game development, and I hope to work on projects made by talented minds alike. Okay. Do you have any first thoughts to share before we move on and listen to this thing, Presley?
I think you nailed it with most of it. The biggest thing is honestly just like the layout in general, having the Wix Studio address. It definitely, again, it's not the end of the world. It's not like I'm going to say, oh my God, no, right away. But it's definitely a more simplistic thing. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about the person on there about. Hopefully, as a sound designer, everybody's inspired to do sound design for video games.
Yes.
So this, I'm happy that you are, but it doesn't really tell me anything about you. I want to see a little bit more from that.
For sure. Good to learn about you in your bio. It's important. The main thing, Marwan, here is that if, God forbid, if someone wants to learn more about you and your bio is so generic that they cannot, it's sort of a missed opportunity there. That's all. So we have a Hades trailer sound redesign. We have a sound redesign reel. I think we'll focus on the reel for the purposes of this stream. I'll just open it up full screen. Can I? I can. And I've realized now I probably have to mute myself in your ears while we're doing this too, Presley. So let me do that. We're at 1080 and 52 seconds. And okay, I'm gonna mute me in your ears, and we'll go in 3, 2, 1, and go. Hey, okay. Does this work? Yes. All right. Thank you, Marwan, for that. Any just first impressions there, Presley?
Yeah, I think a lot of it. I can tell that you're. My gosh, words.
Yep.
You're thinking a lot about the textures of different things, and I think it's really showing through. I think the highlights were a lot of the UI stuff. You did some really, really cool stuff there. Overall, pretty cool. I think the length was okay. The choices were okay. It's a little bit, I'm sure you'll get into this too, but a little bit all over the place in terms of the style. I think that's kind of okay. But that was a part of it. And then I think a few times I just heard your fades be a little bit too fast between clips that kind of like faded out awkwardly a little bit. But yeah, good job.
Yeah, it's. I think your comment on the UI being the kind of standout there, I think is maybe a symptom. I mean, A, I agree, but B, I think it's a symptom of there being a lot of space between sounds in general. And for things like redesigns, Marwan, it's really important to think of the redesign being this is what the shipped product would look like if I were in charge of sound. And if you were playing it at home and I was in charge of sound, it would sound like this. So when you have things like this God of War Ragnarok, a game that Presley worked on, or a game like Celeste, a game that I worked on. Did you know this going into this? Wow, amazing. Playing to your audience, good. When you have games like this, or redesigns like this, where we have kind of like an arrow shot and then nothing, and then an arrow shot and then nothing, it's just silence. Well, there wouldn't be silence in that game if you're playing it at home, and not just because there's no music. There would be ambience, there would be some movement of the character and stuff. So digging into those details is really, really important, and you can be certain that your competitors who are also vying for that same gig to which you've applied, or for which you've applied, will have designed things like the Foley, the movement of those characters, and the ambience and so forth. So those details are really, really important, and you cannot miss that. Yeah. That's the biggest thing here. The biggest issue is just all the space in the redesigns. That said, there's some great design here. Like there's the Crash. I mean, the Ori stuff is like there's some good stuff. It sounds like Ori, you know, and then like that pickup for Crash Bandicoot, like solid, really nice. In terms of presentation things, the titling could be a little cleaned up in terms of style, I think. All caps, all the same font. Also, having like the wrap onto the next line here is kind of strange. We have room here to the right for game name, you know, it's about time. You don't really need to have game name. I mean, it's a game reel. You can kill it off. You don't need game studio. Just throw it in parentheses, Toys for Bob. Sound redesign beneath is good enough. It's yeah, just look for room to kind of trim things down and be a little more direct. Just so we're not reading so much. We can focus more on your awesome work, right? So I'm trying to be fast here. Anything else you want to say about this one, Presley?
No, totally agree overall for sure. I would say in terms of future things that I'd love to see you work on, because I know you're in the Discord a lot, so is a bit more emphasis on some of the transients that you're adding to some of these things, and a little bit of emphasis on dynamic changes, whether it's leaving more silence or also just adding more ambiances, whatever that may be. Every once in a while, the God of War clip is a good example. Like I like the textures that you have, but I want to hear more of that transient in the shot. So I think there's just like a couple of things in the dynamic space that I think you could work on and really rock it moving forward. So honestly, just really good stuff.
Nice. And the very last thing I'll add in terms of Celeste is I don't know if this sound redesign is a linear redesign. That is, you captured some video we'll capture some gameplay to video and put that capture video on a timeline and design it like a little movie. Or if you downloaded the Fmod project and put the sounds into Fmod and heard it in the game you purchased off Steam. Because that's something you can do too. We put that out there in the world. If you weren't aware, you can download the Fmod project off the Fmod website and then connect to the game you bought on Steam, and you can mess with the mix and stuff. You can solo the footsteps. You can do whatever you want. That's a thing we see sometimes. So being clear that this is linear versus implemented using Fmod is really important too. All right. Oh, Pencil Bouncy 447 is Marwan, by the way. There you go. It's linear. Hey. Okay, got it. Thank you for letting us know. But important to point out. Okay, I think I'm keen to call it on that one. Marwin, thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone. Okay, closing. One down. How do you feel, Presley?
Great, it's going well. I like it.
Jacked. Okay. Next, speaking of jacked, we have Jackson Roan Audio in the chat. I've talked to Jack here and there on Discord, given some feedback. Jackson's been on Real Talk before, actually. So I am stoked to hear this. I've heard a lot of it before, probably, but we'll have a go, have a listen. So I'll mute myself again. 3, 2, 1, and go.
How much current can you conduct? Well, with this transformer, I bet you can short circuit superior tech. Let's try it.
Hey, and we're done. All right. Thank you, Jackson. All right, Presley, you're up. How do you feel?
Sweet. Great work. I know I've spoken to you a bunch about some of the stuff you've done here, plus a lot of your other clips that you've redesigned. I think you're still killing it. You're doing a great job. It's cool to see pretty much entirely new clips in this one. I think the last reel that you did were entirely different clips the entire way through. So it's obvious that you're still practicing and really keeping up with that kind of stuff. So good job there.
Yeah, that's an important point too. It's like if you're, not to say this is not about like applying and failing or something, but if you apply somewhere and you don't get that job and you keep working away and you keep making new stuff and then you apply again, if you sit out last time and maybe you missed by a nose and you apply again and it's all new stuff, it looks so good because you've obviously been cranking hard. So yeah, I mean, I know for a fact Jackson's been working very hard for a long time. So it's, I mean, I can't imagine it's not going to pay off at some point. So good on you, man. In terms of design stuff, I mean, we've talked a lot about this clip here, the Black Myth with the boss fight. And I think that you've made a lot of, I mean, I can say this personally, since the first version I heard, this has come a long way. I mean, the first version, for those just listening who didn't hear it before, had a lot of kind of sameness in the player movement, the hero movement, and also sameness between the enemy and the hero, the player and the adversary there. And there's a lot more separation now in terms of vocalizations, in terms of size, in terms of just kind of the textures and stuff. So it's feeling a lot better. I also appreciate just in terms of the pieces you've selected, they're really nice. I mean, the kind of the mini story I often talk about on Real Talk. We have a clip. I mean, when you go to do a sound redesign, a gameplay sound redesign, you can choose any, we'll call it 15 seconds. You can choose any 15-second clip in what, a 60-hour game? Like what clip do you choose, right? So it's pretty important to choose a clip that you think will best speak to your abilities. And a big part of game audio is supporting narrative. So having something that has a little mini story inside that clip goes a very long way. So this Fallen Order clip, I mean, we have, we're working on our little buddy, BD1, is it? And then we kind of climb a thing. We have some Foley. We go to a little thing. We go to a console. We see BD1 do the thing, and then the result of that, big machinery thing moves over, and then we interact with it. Like that's a great sequence. I get a good feeling of what Jackson feels, and just Jackson's sensibilities about designing for game audio specifically for games and not for linear media. We have this kind of movement over time, the phrasing from point A to point B. I feel like, yeah, if I played the game and this happened, I'd be like, cool, this makes sense in this environment, and I feel like I'm doing the right thing, and I'm pushing my own story forwards, and I'm crossing this gap, and I'm going to keep playing the game. It feels awesome. So a big part too is that this crane moving, all these little sounds we're hearing, a BD1, the crane, the finishing, even the kind of zip line down the whole thing, all those sounds are kind of a mini reward into themselves. The player did the thing, and now they get to hear the cool result, right? Any other thoughts from you, Presley, before we move on?
Yeah, I the part that actually I was really impressed by was just the gore slaps from like the Helldiver clip. They were just really good. It's just a really nice, like, gross sounding texture to it, and I just want to kind of call that out because it was really well done. In terms of the Fallen Order clip, usually you hear a lot of sound designers say like, don't include VO or music, don't do it. It could be a bad thing. We don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
But in this particular instance, I didn't feel like it was off-putting. I didn't feel like it didn't match the reel. It sat nicely and everything, and it didn't overpower the sound effects that you were showing off. So I think this is a really good example of when you can add either musical or VO components to a reel and have it be successful.
Yes, but high risk, very high risk adding voiceover. If it works out, awesome, maximal benefit. If it does not work out, maximal like catastrophe. Can be very bad very fast. So be careful with that. Okay, yeah, and to be honest, I didn't even acknowledge the voice acting first time through. That's a good thing. That's a very good thing. All right, Jackson. Thanks, pal. You're doing it. Let's keep going. Next up, Schmorgel. I don't know this name. Welcome back to Real Talk. Let's go ahead and go full screen. I will mute myself. In 3, 2, 1, and go. Wow. I saw Presley cracking up there at the same time I was.
I love it. The guitar crashing right on the end card was just very good.
Yeah, yeah.
Just really fun.
All right. Anything else you want to add for your first impressions?
It was sick. Honestly, it's just sick. I like the layout of it. It seems like you really thought about the flow between the clips as well.
Oh yeah. Totally.
You add the first clip ends on something descending, and then the next one starts on something ascending. All these little details in it really show. Your little title sequence was just really clean. The clips were super cool. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think you kind of rocked this one.
I think you do know. I think you know very well. Schmorgel rocked this one big time. Yeah, big fan over here. Love it. Cocoon has so much opportunity for redesign. All the sequences has some little articulations and stuff. There's a lot of room for that, and I think he did a great job. I can see this being in the game very easily. I would not be put off or confused if that appeared in there. I'd be like, oh damn. If we have a game in some audio awards, we have some worrying to do.
I also have to give props to how you showed the implementation clip. How you sort of like zoomed in on the full screen clip within Unreal. Like that was pretty cool. The way that you showed that, yeah, like, yes, I implemented this. Yes, this is in game, without it sort of taking up more of the screen than it needs to. Really cool idea.
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of an issue with a lot of implementation clips on Reels. Is they're just hard to know how to say I did this, you know, or it has the kind of like picture in picture, or it has like the profiler overlaid, or it has like there's all these kind of weird awkward ways of doing it that are certainly valid, but just a very quick glimpse is a nice invitation to learn more. And perhaps there'd be another video somewhere of breaking down what this is all about and how Alexander here went about doing all that work and solving problems and so forth. So very nice. I mean, I have very little negative feedback with this reel. It's solid across the board. Really solid. I guess maybe the one thing I would say is that Final Fantasy 16 and Cocoon are extremely different projects in terms of development, in terms of team size and style and all these things. And then Teamfight Tactics even is like a very different game than those two games. Like these are super different projects. And then we go into UE5. I don't really care what this content is that much. It's just mainly here to say, hey, I'm putting stuff in game. Pretty neat, right? So because those projects are so different, there could be some confusion or risk in terms of, well, imagine you're applying for the kind of team that makes a Cocoon, and then you are up against somebody else, and despite your work being really good, if their work is really good too, and all their content and their demo reel is all kind of indie Cocoon style projects, those kind of dev team sizes, those project sizes, then that person might just beat you out because on their face it looks like they're more invested in the indie scene. It could be that's the result. That's like the one thing I could put on this whole reel. Otherwise, solid across the board, like really, really good. Anything else, Presley? We good to move on?
Good to move on.
All
That was
right.
great.
Alexander, killer. Really, really good. Really good. Okay. Moving on. Peter Hockey. Is Peter in the chat? Perhaps. Maybe. Make yourself known. This is again a YouTube video only. 5 days ago. 29 views. Pretty good for 5 days ago. Not bad. Not bad at all. Okay. I will again mute myself. 3, 2, 1, and go.
Got it, lads. He remembers me.
Did you also laugh at the opening card?
It's because I loved it.
It's pretty funny.
I have
Claps.
a thing for one of the things that I say a lot about some of the feedback that I give to people a lot is like, I want to hear your personality at some point. I want to hear a little bit of your personality, and that's like just a really good example of like, yep, made me laugh. I like it. We're good.
Yeah, really funny. It's like it just goes to show too, like I mean, no offense, Pete, but like this is a pretty extremely bare bones, I mean, some would say like garbage intro. It's like there's nothing like fancy about this at all, but it's so good. Like this is absolutely shining through with your personality, and I love it so much. It's like bam, bam, bam appears, and I mean, I've given.
Sorry, I also love how it's not even aligned. The text isn't even aligned. Everything about it is. I love it. It's perfect.
It feels
I have
like
no notes.
Yeah, it feels like this is You need unregistered hypercam 2 at the top. Yeah. It's so chaotic, but it just feels like this is what was intended, you know. So I'm into it. I actually, it's somehow gone full circle, and I super love it. So well done. Okay, and then going into the titles in the main bit. So we have some fade out stuff. It fades out entirely. So Trench Tails Tucking Drums fades hard, and then it's gone entirely. We haven't talked at all about the Zvi Sherman method. This is something that comes up in Real Talk again and again, and the idea is to leave these kind of titles about this opacity. So it stays kind of low and unobtrusive, but if I do want to, well, if I missed the title, or I want to like click back through the reel and see what you did, I can easily see what this clip was without having to search for what the thing is, you know? There is that too. So I wouldn't recommend dropping to fade out entirely. There's not really any downside to leaving it at a very low opacity. You might as well do it. And fading. Okay, so this is also something new for this edition of Real Talk this week. Choosing your clips carefully to, like I was saying earlier, in terms of having those like little mini stories kind of encompassed within that clip you've chosen, but also be really careful about choosing clips that are kind of iconic for sound, because I can't not hear the world serpent as it appeared in game. I just cannot do it. Was it who designed this? Mike Niederkel, is that right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so this is so goddamn good in game, and it's not even about whether you can meet it or do something as good in a different style. It's that I'm going to be comparing to the thing that I know and love. Even like unconsciously, I could be doing that. So it's not even about whether it's good. It's just that I can't get away from what I know. So be aware of that. I heard this and I was like, oh man, don't redesign the world serpent. It's like it's so scary. It's like doing
Even
a
when it
lightsaber
came
again.
up, when I saw this clip come up, I got distracted for a hot second because I just looked at it and went, "Oh, bold."
I like did like the Jonah Hill like no don't do this clip, like don't like that meme. You
You
know?
did well with it. It's okay. Like it
Yeah, and it
you did a
doesn't
pretty good
sound
job, but it's
bad,
just,
Pete.
like-
It's not bad at all. It just isn't the world serpent, you know? So it's just you're not doing yourself any favors in that respect. I can get kind of the draw to do something like this because it's a really like evocative clip, and as a concept the world serpent's so cool, and to try and even like as an exercise in sound design to try and make the same sound for yourself, that's fantastic. Do that forever. Just be careful of putting it in your demo reel, just for the reasons we've laid out there. What else do you have in here? We got the Dishonored 2 clip. This clip is fast becoming an over-designed clip. I've seen this so many times, and it's hard to know as like someone up and coming like what clip is over-designed, but in general, choosing newer things is nice. If it's a clip that's available online or you've seen others design, I mean, it's always dangerous because it might be designed a lot more than just that person you saw. It's the issue with over-designed clips is that I've seen this so many times, and I can't really remember any of them because they all kind of blur together. So, and this one is no different. Like I know it goes to like the end of the stairwell and zoop down to the ground, and then it smashes and falls on the ground. Like I know the whole clip very well, so it's a little bit risky in that respect. That said, the design's like not bad, you know, but it's just it's like the secondary issue of you're up against everyone else who's done the same thing you have, you know. Anything else, Presley?
No, totally agree with that. I did like the what's it called? The Trench Tails one.
The second one, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you did a really good job telling the sort of like ambient storytelling of that one. Like it sounded pretty good. I think that was the highlight for me out of the reel. But yeah, like solid all around. Keep at it for sure.
Yeah, design wise, there's a lot of like one just content thing that I realized from Dishonored 2. This opening fight. Let's play it again. Okay, so a lot of the enemies, like the bot, a lot of the movement and stuff, I might suggest that you find a way where you just sort of explore different tones, different pitches, different textures, as far as mixing up what we'll call it a whoosh. What a whoosh sounds like. If an attack goes like woo versus woo. If it's like a left and then a right, or like a backhand and a forehand, or like an up and a down, or whatever, even like 2 hits in a row, like both forehand, you could even change that a bit in terms of intensity or in terms of like distance it moved or whatever. Or you can just insist. You can just say, you know what, it sounds different this time, screw you. And it'll sound more interesting that way. The danger with making, or rather a risk you run with having kind of similar whooshes again and again and again, or similar textures or pitches or whatever, all these things again and again for similar articulations for a given character or a given scene, is it can sound kind of samey, and you can lose a bit of that phrasing over time as far as what's actually happening. If it's like woo, woo, that implies it was the same thing that happened twice, but it wasn't. It was like a backhand and a forehand, or it was an up and a down. So you're like woo, woo, or woo, woo. Even just some change can go so far, just as far as getting into that nuance of really trying to define the scene a little more specifically. And it all comes back to this idea of for anyone in the chat, for anyone doing sound design, I mean, it's always a good exercise to close your eyes and see if you can tell what's happening from start to finish. And if you have those sounds that are like the same, kind of like they sound the same back to back to back, eyes closed, that suggests it's the same thing happening again and again. So try to mix those things up. We're getting nitpicky because fundamentally it's pretty good design. So well done, Pete. Good intro. Good intro. Very good intro. Good to move on, Presley? Awesome. Okay. Claps for Peter Hockey. Very nice. Thank you so much. Okay. We have Sugar Bird Sounds. This is, what's the name? Do you have it there, Presley, in your list? I think you do, right?
Yes, I do. It is somewhere. Elisa Smith. Yes.
Elisa Smith.
I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong.
Or Eliza or something. Elisa. Who knows? Elisa Smith. We'll go with. Sugarbird Sounds. We got some wonderful lavender tones here. Very nice.
I really like the color scheme.
Yeah. And also just seems mindful. You know? This is the kind of thing where it might not seem important, but when you just see a little consideration, a little thoughtfulness put into this kind of thing as far as the colors chosen or fonts chosen or whatever for any kind of visual presentation, you start to think about things like, oh, this person understands creative direction and the idea of putting creative direction as a driving force behind all the decisions made for a given project, this project being the website or your presence online or whatever. So it goes a long way to say, oh, they understand this concept of creative boundaries. So perhaps they can apply that understanding of that concept to my game. You know, it's like it does carry over for sure. So real quick, across the top, we got home, we got about, we got portfolio, we got a contact, and a good old LinkedIn link. Okay, so portfolio, there's a few things, video game projects. We got Diggin' Dino. We got various animation and film stuff, compositions. Cool, a lot of things to look at. And then about. So I'll read this real quick. So, for many, a well-written story, a well-framed shot, or a well-painted picture brings immense joy and maybe even a tear to the eye. Okay. For me, that feeling is evoked most through my ears with well-designed sound. All right, we'll get back to that. I completed a bachelor's in music technology at Kiel University and a post-production sound for film, games, and TV industry course at the Institute of Contemporary Music Performance in London. Despite already being a gamer of mainly cozy indie titles like Stardew Valley and Spiritfarer, nice. What I didn't realize was that this industry course was about to change all of my plans, force me to drop what I was doing, and pursue sound design for video games. No period. Careful. These days, I've been redesigning, exploring software, and perusing online communities formed around the gaming industry, perhaps this one. Indie games, Discord servers, Airwiggles, game jams, and, like a sponge, soaking up all of the knowledge and influence of these spaces. And as for the Sugarbird name, it stems from a nickname as a result of a typo, but has come to embody the calming nature of the sounds of a songbird. Okay, very nice. Okay, so really quick, just from my immediate feedback. This opening paragraph can just go entirely. It's like kind of cute, but it says absolutely nothing about you. The one thing we say on Real Talk all the time is try to keep every sentence in your bio as specific to you as possible. If you could picture that same sentence being on someone else's bio, then maybe it should go. Because if someone's reading your bio at all, it means you've made it through the screening process of they watched your demo reel and think it slaps, and now they want to learn more about you. So do them a favor and let them learn about you. Like, use those seconds very wisely, okay? Presley, anything else to say about that?
No, totally agree. I do like the Sugarbird thing at the bottom. I
That's
think
cute.
that's like a nice touch for
It's
how you
about
got the name
Elisa,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. But I do agree that the first one is a little bit not as necessary as the rest of it. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. Great. So up top we have welcome to my portfolio website. My name is Ailsa? Is it Ailsa or is it Elisa? Or is that a typo? Contact. Okay, what's LinkedIn say? That's gonna be Ailsa. Okay, we've been saying it wrong the whole time. I'm so sorry. Ailsa.
That's my bad. Sorry. That's my typo, not yours.
Okay. All right. Apologies. Everyone, Ailsa. Ailsa. Got it. Speaking of typos, right? Okay. Sound designer 4, video games, background animation, film and TV. Below, I invite you to head straight. Okay, so all this stuff, you can basically just get rid of this because they're here for a reason, and you don't need to tell them what that reason is. They know they're here to see your stuff. Just put this sound design demo reel right in their face, Ailsa. You have no downside to doing so. Just put it in their face and say, I know why you're here. Here you go. I mean, doing so just indicates an understanding that they have finite time to look at your stuff. And the less time they can take to sift through whatever at the top and find your thing, it may seem like nothing. But again, they have 800 demo reels to go through. Saving those seconds can go a long way, okay? So, shall we watch a demo reel, though, Presley?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so again, muting 3, 2, 1, and go. All right, thank you, Sugarbird Sounds, Ailsa. Okay, first impressions, Presley, go for it.
Yeah, overall, I can definitely see that. I know you're in the Discord a lot. Most of those were sound design Discord things, so that was pretty cool to see. I really like your branding. I think the intro and outro are both really, really good, and I think some of the clips that you chose were really good. Just keep in mind, with the sound design Discord, we are trying to make sure that we have examples from both linear and games and everything else. But unfortunately, from your reel, from what I'm seeing, because you've chosen a lot of those clips, I don't really know what you want to do. A lot of them were linear and not from games, and a lot of them were linear from games. And there was one clip with no visuals, which personally I'd say maybe not for your main reel, but cool to have on your website somewhere, on your portfolio. But yeah, those would be kind of my general opinions on the layout of it and stuff like that so far.
Cool. Yeah, the if you were here at the very beginning, Elsa, the concept of material selection is what we're talking about here. And just like I was saying to Schmorgel, it's kind of that was a bit more of a nuanced situation there where it's like indie games versus like a Final Fantasy style game. It's like super different. But in your case, it's an even wider berth there between film and games. And if you have someone who's fully invested in games versus someone who's kind of got everything across the board, it's easy for someone who's looking to hire to just say, oh, this person seems like they're more into games than Elsa is, so I'll hire them instead, even though that might not be true, you know? So it's just important that your demo reel communicates things accurately. So I also love that your opening clip, I mean, despite the fact of being maybe, A, film, but B, also bold, because back to iconic sound design, I mean, Wall-E is up there. Wall-E made me want to quit being a sound designer. It's so good. It's like, I will never be this good, you know? So it's dangerous, but I loved how it matches your color scheme. It's so good. I was like, oh, damn, are all the clips going to be lavender also? Not bad. Yeah, I like how you're experimenting with the kind of character stuff and expressing personality through not voice, but instead kind of a synth-based voice instead. It's a tricky thing to do, and you had a lot of fun with it, obviously. So good on you. The sound design, Mr. and Mrs. Claus thing, I'm going to skip over entirely. I think that there is room for sound design without visuals in a demo reel, but it is bold. And it still needs to be fitting into that game space somehow. So it's something like an audio vignette, or we've done like the kind of murder mystery narrative style things, like radio play style things for some games. If you just design for that kind of thing, it's for a game space, for a game universe, that might be a better fit. But yeah, it's again, this kind of thing. The challenges are awesome to see. Bear in mind, many others do challenges also. So sometimes I'll see the same clips again and again. Not this one, mind you, but some game clips we'll see again and again and again. Again, you're then faced with this kind of comparison that's happening even subconsciously. So onto game stuff though. So I saw someone in the chat saying needs more layers. Yeah, this is kind of back to previous reel we're looking at in this stream where there's just room for more content. You've got kind of the main beats covered, but there's a lot more space there. If there's silence at all, again, it's not what the game would sound like if you were playing it at home. You need that ambient space. You need those details put in there. So just keep going, like keep digging those details. Presley, anything else in terms of content stuff later on? This games thing, Genshin Impact, etc.
I think you kind of nailed it with having sort of like the base layers, and now it's time to fill in. I was talking about this in the Discord the other day with somebody too. One of the challenges that I think can be really good, especially for just filling in those details and knowing where to go next, is sit down with the clip and literally write out every single thing you see happening, just as an exercise for just how much has to be covered from sound. And I think these clips could probably benefit from a similar exercise. You know, whether it's ambience, whether it's like in the Mortal Kombat clip, all of those different blades that are flying forward and stuff like that, all of that stuff. I wanted to hear more of it. I think the textures that you have are really good. Like, you're definitely on the right track here. We just need to fill out the rest of the sounds that feel like they're missing right now.
That's more like building on top of what you've done as opposed to replacing and kind of nuking from orbit. You're definitely on the right track. The last detail I'll add in, which might be a little hot tip, is in regards to your enemy vocalizations in this last clip here. So I'm going to crank it back up again. Listen to this. Like kind of like all those little things there. So this is kind of going back to what I was saying with that Dishonored 2 clip and the whooshes kind of changing over time. That the kind of pitch, the pitch center of those vocalizations doesn't really move around. So, excuse me, whether they're aggroing, whether they're getting hurt or dying or attacking, they're all kind of they're right there. So you lose a lot of that kind of story being told over time. You know, it's kind of so it risks being ear fatigue-y stuff where you just hear the same sound like a lot, and it also risks just not communicating things to the player. They might want to know things like, did I kill this guy or is he still attacking me? Those are really important things to know. So it can be great to mix up the pitch over time, mix up the kind of texture, some growls, some snarls, some whatever yells. It can go a long way to tell the player more things, right? Try and be on their side. I think we can move on from there.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. Thank you, Elsa. Keep going. Keep going. Yeah, we're blasting here, Shigans, but we have so much to go through. I expect it to be a long stream today. It's okay. Fabian, Calabria. Calabria. I'm not sure. We have kind of a small text page, 150. So a lot of things at the top, all the social links. We got bio. I underwent classical guitar and music theory training during my childhood, and then worked with computer audio for more than 20 years. Damn. I won the Best Music Award at the Fantasy Sci-Fi Film and Screenplay Festival for the first short movie I scored, Mosaic. Is that a link? It is. Nice. I'm a trailer music composer for Transported Audio and a moderator for Max Coney's Discord. I know Max Coney. Max Coney did guitar for level 6-5 in Phonopath. Isn't that crazy?
So that's nuts. Also, that's a thing. That game drove me crazy for so long.
Yeah, quick sidebar. 2012. I made a little audio puzzle game. I made it as a glorified portfolio piece with which to apply to Valve, and they loved it. Didn't work out. Made Power Up instead. It's all right, but. Yeah, it's like a puzzle game where you find passwords and audio files. You can play right now at phonopath.com if you want. Phonopath.com. But
that's gonna be the next sound design challenge.
Just play the game.
Complete Phonopath.
But yeah, so one of the levels needed guitar, and one of my friends from audio school was dating Max. I met Max through that, and then Max like, yeah, I'll help you out, sure. Just came in and recorded guitar for me. Crazy, Max Coney. Wow. Discord server, which boasts a vibrant community of 2,000 members, over 2,000 members. Killer. Okay, skills. We got various things. Whether you require a comprehensive end-to-end music production. So now we're in a sales pitch voice. I am versatile in composing against things. I am Unity F mod. Okay, great. So it's like this is now being kind of salesy. This feels like a freelance website now, which it probably is. So if that's your intent, then great. And video game music is at the bottom. So, crafting game music isn't just about making something that sounds good. This is back into kind of like just saying things about game music as opposed to what you do. So be careful about that. All right. So what do you want us to look at though? We have music. We got sound design. This is a very, very music page so far though. Just reading the bio. Yeah, music is up top. Music credits, and then. Video games credits is also music, and then demos, also music, and then sound design. So there's no reel here, which is a danger. Do you want to talk about why that's a danger, Presley?
Yeah, so if I was looking for a sound designer, I was looking to hire a sound designer, and I did not see a reel until I scrolled to the bottom of the page, and even then there is no reel. There's so much to look at. And it's hard to see what you do and what skills you want to show off for this application. There would be a high chance if I have hundreds of applicants that I'd say, okay, they don't have a reel.
Close.
I don't have time. Which is unfortunate because you have done a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff here. But because I just, again, going back to the idea of the faster I can see your work and what you want to show off, the better off we're going to be. I don't have time to click through 12 videos.
Yeah.
Or scroll the pages for days to try to find it.
And the thing is, even if Presley did click through a few of them, it very well could be that the best stuff wasn't clicked. The stuff you're most proud of, or the stuff that you think is most relevant to this application or for this position, or whatever. There's a lot of reasons why crafting a video that's a minute long and just gives us. It operates as a teaser trailer for who you are and what you might be able to bring to the table for this project or with this team or whatever. That goes so far because, again, we cannot stress enough how many people are available and applying for positions like this. So when you have just a boatload of folks who are illustrating and demonstrating that they are very courteous of your time, and they're like, here it is. I know why you're here. Here's the video. Have a look. See something you like? I have some over here too. You can look at it afterwards. Or you have a question for me? The answer's over here. They've thought this through. So they kind of guide you through this experience as opposed to here's my junk drawer of everything I've ever done, dump out on the table and see something you like. It's not quite the same experience, So there is a danger there. And what would probably happen is they'd watch the top left one. So I will just quickly. Okay, so I'll do one of these. It sounds nice, you know? I mean, good job. The problem here also, so this says sound design credits. So, okay, sound design and music. So this says, okay, so you did both sound design and music. SFX creation demo. So on top of this, I'm also not sure what I'm getting into by clicking these things. And so that's 24 seconds. I mean, if that's the length of all these things, this is very, very long, you know? It's a lot of content to look through. And again, this is after scrolling past. And it says sound design credits, and this video has music in it. So, yeah, it's just a lot of... it's not like I'm a diva. I'm like, no, prepare your things better for me. It's more that you just run the risk of things being overlooked and you being overlooked. Yeah. Presley, anything else to add here? That's the biggest issue by a wide margin here. But I mean, we can watch something else if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it there. Like, if I'm looking at this again with the speed in mind, the first thing I'm going to click is the very first video I'm going to see, and I'm going to press play. And if I'm looking for a sound designer and the only thing I'm hearing really is music, that's enough information for me, unfortunately. Even if it sounds good, which it does. Like, there's some nice stuff going on here in the Star Rising one, but it's like, that's cool, but I got to move on, and this hasn't told me enough, and I don't have time to try to look through the rest of the videos to see what I need to see.
Yeah, it kind of it unfortunately requests a lot of assumption on the part of the viewer as far as, yeah, they can probably do the sound design for my game. I mean, seems like they have some experience, but I mean, the problem with that is that there's a lot of people who are removing all doubt that they can do this, and there just is some question marks remaining with your stuff, and that's where you'll probably be kind of edged out by other folks who will get those jobs instead, you know? Yeah, that's the main takeaway. Otherwise, like, I mean, you're 20 years, like, you've been doing it for a while now, you know? And in terms of taste, this one clip we watched, agreed, sounds great. It's got an obvious style to it, and the mix is nice. Sound design sounds nice. It just is kind of sparse, that's all. So, do you want to just call it there? It feels small, but there are many to get through, so maybe we'll just stop there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, I think Fabian also put this in as like a website only thing too, right? So,
okay, great.
I would say, yeah, like layout wise, get a reel up at the top, get something there that shows whatever you're applying for, whether it's going to be the music side or the sound design side, like just get that up front and center with everything that you want to show.
Yeah, literally, Fabian, like having a button, music, a button, sound. And if because I roll into your page, I need sound. I'm like, done, click. And you've helped me out by just going right to the point. Be like, you know what? No small talk. Here's the meat of the thing. Watch. You're going to love it, you know? Okay, thank you, Fabian. Thanks so much. Moving on, we got free fall audio. This is a box link. So I hope this thing plays nice in browser. It should. But we'll see, I guess. This is from whom? Do you have the name there? Dare I ask you, Presley?
It was from a user on Discord called Sanguine Giraffe.
Sanguine Giraffe.
Yeah.
Okay, Sanguine Giraffe coming up. Perhaps there'll be a name on this thing. We'll see. So in 3, 2, 1, and go. Preview didn't load. Okay, it didn't load for me. I'm gonna try again. Just open too long. We'll see here. Hey, or maybe we'll see what happens. Okay. Dramatic fade to finish. Thank you, Sanguine Giraffe. Are you in the chat, by the way? Make yourself known, please. Or not. Your call. Yeah, I mean, I guess first impressions there, Presley?
Yeah, I mean, solid sound design. Really fitting for the styles that you chose for this. I can definitely tell what you want to do and what you're most passionate about from this one. So I think a lot of it, sound design wise, was honestly really, really good. I would say, like, I want to know your name. I want to know who you are. Have a title card on there so I know who you are. And I don't think you need the little bit on there that said like style.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary. It was a cute little addition, but I don't think we need that. It's all good.
Yeah, we can glean what the style is from your work for sure. But very cool that you are coming at these things from an angle of varying styles. That's great to kind of show you're a Jack or Jill or whomever of all trades, right? The first two had some similarity in terms of like textures and stuff, the Celeste and Sea of Stars, but you definitely moved away from that in terms of Hades and a lot away from that for Hyperlight Drifter, so good on you. Very cool. Okay, so the other thing I'd say is, again, Celeste, was this done in Fmod or was this done linear? It's important to know because the Fmod is available for you, right? So be aware. One thing I'll say too is that there may be room to think about the significance of a given moment in audio, or in gameplay rather, and to reflect that in terms of intensity or frequency content or any number of things really in the audio. Because it seems like when I press play for Celeste, for instance, and I mean, bear in mind, I designed all these sounds, so it's some bias here, obviously. But it was really important to consider this game's all about movement, and players are going to be like replaying screens again and again because they're failing. It's a hard game. It's challenging. They're going to die again and again. It's important to think about how often these sounds will happen and how they relate to each other. So things like how often you dash, how often you grab things, how often you land things, how often you pick up a berry, all these things, trying to measure them in terms of frequency of audibility, how frequently we're hearing these things in game, and maybe dialing back in terms of volume or making it more kind of slight for frequency content, not big booming bass for those sounds, but perhaps something a little more mid to high range and quieter. There's room to start kind of massaging things into place based on thinking of it from a longer play session, not just a 10-second clip. Because 10 seconds is like, anyone can listen to that, that's fine. But when you're playing an hour-long play session or longer, then those sounds are a bit too loud or a bit too shrill or a bit too boomy. Those things start to stick out in a big way over time, and they start feeling like they're, especially in the case of a game like Celeste, those repetitive sounds start taunting you as a player. You start going like, I failed, I hear that stupid sound again, or that booming sound again, or whatever. So really think about that. The Hades clip, there was some like woo woo stuff there. It's, really think about size of enemies, things of like when a character dies, when an enemy dies, those sounds are important. So think about dynamics for importance of things to a player and try to scale things accordingly. That can go a long way for sure. That's my biggest takeaway for this clip. But agreed, in terms of the fundamental sound design, there's some solid stuff in here. Really nice.
Yeah, really good. One thing I'd be honestly curious about is what you're listening on. Especially because a lot of that lower end is also a little bit samey. I've kind of felt the same tone going through, especially in the ambiances of a number of clips. I'd almost be curious about your listening volume or your listening space. Like, is it actually coming through your headphones or your speakers at a level that you can hear them properly, or could this potentially be an issue with how your listening space is playing things back for you?
Good point. Yeah, I'm listening to that ambience now very carefully. Yeah, I love the UI in here too. The Sea of Stars clip is. I think the Sea of Stars probably is the best clip in my opinion.
It's really good. It's really clean.
It's really good.
UI
It feels the newest, if I'm honest. It feels like that's the maturest clip of all the four of them, or four, I think. Yeah. Anything else to add, or we can move on?
That's it for me.
Sanguine Giraffe, please tell us your name if you're around. Thank you. Claps in the chat, please. All right, Mathieu Robert. Matthew Robert. We have games and contact. Hi, I'm a French sound designer located in Montpellier, France. Previously of Ubisoft. Okay. Here's the reel up top. There it is. And then beneath, I like to create stuff using controlled chaos and randomization in my workflow, and always looking for happy incidents. Cute. I play a lot of games, and I'm very familiar with multiplayer games like League of Legends, Path of Exile, Risk of Rain 2, no capital R, careful, and lowercase o probably, on the ofs. I am specialized in VFX sound effect, explosion, cosmetics, stuff like skins, and I like ambience and world building sounds as well. There's some classic French to English stuff there, like sound effects with the S and explosions with the S. I work well in solo, but can work with many different profiles. Working as a freelancer helped that. It's kind of a 2 sentences thing happening there. I'm doing a lot of personal projects that you can find on my site, and I'm currently looking for a team to join. Big ol' D happy face. Okay, thanks for checking my work, and feel free to contact me for any needs. Thoughts on bio, format, layout, style stuff, Presley?
Yeah, I think in terms of your bio, I like how you're really trying to specify like what you do and what you're interested in. I think that's a really good thing. I'd say like I know it's a language thing. I know you're French. You mentioned it, so that's a good thing. But if you're going to be applying for jobs in English, I'd maybe try to get a bit more proofreading, just on some of the little bits here and there. I'm not gonna not hire you because of it. Um, but just to kind of make it look a little bit cleaner, I'd say maybe kind of do a bit more of a grammar check if you wanted to keep all that in there. But I really like the layout of it, I think. And I also like the little "they trust me" above who you've
Yes,
worked
I
with.
like that
I just
too.
think that's really cute.
Yeah.
I like it. You can keep that. I like it a lot.
Yeah, be a little careful about throwing happy faces and stuff in your bio. It's like just on the edge of being out of the professional kind of sphere. It's not the end of the world again, but it's the kind of thing we often say, like, yeah, prove you can be professional first, and then later you can be cracking jokes and being a little more casual and stuff once they know that you can get the job done. You know, if you're being a bit too familiar or casual too early, then it can be, people just might start making assumptions about your character that might not be true. That's all. Okay, so we have various things down below. We saw that, and I guess we have, there's links though. Project games. Projet. We got unannounced. This N should be here instead. 1 and then 2 unannounced. Project Ubisoft. Okay. February also misspelled. Yeah, there's a lot of spelling and stuff and grammar stuff. Just be aware of that, okay? Make sure you can clean it all up. Various things to look at. Okay, other projects, internships, Smite. Okay, cool. So back to the reel. We're going to go full screen. 121, so it's a bit on the long side. We'll see. But you've worked on stuff, so maybe it's worth watching. We'll see. But in 3, 2, 1, and go.
La niebla no es mi enemiga. Me sacaré de esta. No hay vida sin muerte. La pistola no tiene gatillo. Está en mi mente.
Groove and a finish. I was rocking out at the end. Rocking out. Okay, thank you. Merci. All right, Presley, your thoughts, please.
Yeah, good job. Your intro was funny.
Whoa,
I liked it. It was really silly. It was
you got
incredibly
so
silly.
loud for me all of a sudden. What's going on?
Oh, am I? What did I
It's
do?
like it was blasting. Was it just me?
What have I
It was just
done?
me. Listen to the chat can confirm or deny. We'll see here. But,
Sorry if I just screamed in people's faces. I promise nothing changed on my end.
okay. Yeah, sorry about that.
No, yeah, I liked the intro. Your clips are like, I'm a little between on them because I know that last clip is something that you actually worked on, and I understand why you put it in there, but it feels so different than the rest. It still sounds really good though, so I don't know. I'd be curious to see what Kevin has to say about that one. The Kaiser one's really good. I can almost, it feels like I can tell that you have ordered your clips from the most recent to the least to the oldest. Just in terms of like the cleanliness of the style and stuff like that you're presenting. But yeah, I think there's a lot of good stuff in here for sure. I don't know how I feel about the music in the outro.
Yeah. It feels a bit cop-outy
Yeah.
to me.
Like I'd rather, even if like you just echoed the silliness of your intro or something with that kind of stuff, I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't think I'd put it in there with the music. But yeah, no, that's what I got off the top.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, the gun HS I had caught you were Fabian, or at least you were answering questions in the chat as if you were answering for Fabian, so I assume that's who you were. But yes. Two Frenchies, exactly. Yeah, so the educational games. So this is kind of, is that like I don't really get this title as one thing. So this first clip, the call, sound redesign. Very clear what this is. Cool. Next, a League of Legends Winx Club custom skin. Got it. I'm not really a League guy. I don't know about League things, but sure, I accept this is a custom skin made by another fan. I assume it's like a mod thing. I assume was what's happening here. And then next is VFX sound design. Again, custom VFX made by more mod stuff. Excuse me. Next is a explosion spell VFX. So this is very in isolation. I mean, these League clips are always so in isolation too. But kind of so be it. If you've been watching the whole stream here, Mathieu, you would have heard me say that it's important to choose clips to have a little story being told and stuff. The call redesign kind of has that. Stuff happens and it's like a sequence of events. It's nice. The problem with these isolationist kind of clips is that we only have these sounds in isolation. And I can tell that some of these clips, like this big blast here, was great. And I'm certain that would punch through a mix and be heard in game, and that's pretty cool. But that's me just drawing my own conclusion. I don't know that for sure. And then same thing. It's then that issue is then cranked to 11 with a gray box environment and a VFX by itself. Again, amazing exercise to be doing things like this. And it's not without value. It's just that this kind of sound design done in a greater context of a video game scene or gameplay clip or something just goes so much farther in terms of just communicating more things. It just shows, based on the clip, the kind of game you chose to design shows what kind of games you like and want to work on, and shows your understanding of how loud this thing is versus the rest of the clip, and how that balance over time and dynamics over time, your aptitude for that kind of thing. There's all these things we can learn beyond just this sounds cool. So it's not that it doesn't sound good, because it does sound good. It's really cool. I saw Presley nodding along with it too. So we are fans of the explosion spell VFX. It's just that there are lost opportunities here to be further gained if you put that kind of sound in a greater context kind of clip. So be aware. And then the educational thing Presley was talking about. I mean, yeah, I've been there, certainly. I mean, Power Up Audio, early days, we worked on anything we could, period. And we worked on games like this. We did a game called Sparky's Adventures. It was a kids educational thing, and I think it sounded great. It didn't super resemble the kind of projects we want to work on long term, but for the time we worked on it, it was great. It paid the bills. We're happy. The client was happy. And it indicated certain things like we can work with clients. You know, they trust us, right? So I get that it's here. I don't think it's super out of place if it's something you worked on, but I don't understand the title very well. Like Alec Edumedia and then / educational games. So is this like the name of the project? I mean, there's two N's, but is that a French thing? I don't think it is. Educationnel? Is that how you spell it in French? I don't know. But also jeu, wouldn't it be jeu, not games? But yeah, I just don't know what this title is. That's my main concern with it. Like, what even is this thing? If I want to search it, how do I find it? So be aware there. Presley, anything else content-wise or anything else to talk about?
I think we went through it all.
Okay, cool. Yes, and also apply, even kid stuff, apply what I was saying before in terms of intensity of moment versus intensity of sound. Have an ebb and flow as opposed to every sound is big and large and important. All right, so moving on. Thank you, Mathieu. Oh, this is Blast. I missed that in the chat entirely. Blast SD. Cool. Edgemedia is the company name. Okay. It's a game for kids to learn stuff. That's fine. So Edgemedia is okay. Just, yeah, keep it to like the game name and the company name, especially if it's a credit, because it goes a long way compared to your sound redesigns and your fan things. Those are not without value, but having credits indicates this. They trust me. It goes so far. So, and there's Edgemedia right there, of course. Edgemedia. Okay. Moving on. Thank you. Sound design. Was this the one with the 2 links? One of these things had 2 links, right? Is it this one?
No, that's a couple down from here, I think.
Okay,
Or wait, actually, yeah.
It's Stradlin Audio. Got
Oh,
it.
it is that one.
Yeah,
Are we on Stradlin now?
No,
Sorry,
we're not. I jumped ahead 5 tabs to Stradlin. We have like 10 left. There's so many, yo. Okay.
We're trying so hard
getting
to
there.
get through them.
We're getting there. It's all right. I'm just gonna work longer tonight to make up the time. The things
Likewise,
I do
it's
for
okay.
you,
We'll be in it together.
twitch.tv/powerup-audio. Okay, so let's look at amnesiasound.ca. CA, what's up? We got, okay, so right off the bat, we have nothing to do on the landing page. There's some graphic background stuff. Is this your gear and your sound effect indexing software and various things? Or is this... Oh, it's Yanni. I know who this is. I didn't see who the name was. It probably is your stuff then, because you have so much stuff. Okay, this is your stuff. Okay, Yanni, you don't need my advice, man. You know what's going on. You're so good.
I was saying the same thing when I saw the name come up. I was like, okay.
Like, what do you want? What do you want me to say? Yeah, it's still good. Like, you're so good, man. Okay, so yes, sound designer based in Toronto. We know this. Hello again. I didn't realize who I was looking at the whole time. I'm so sorry, of course. Here at the Junos, in front of all your sick rig, your amazing room. Hi, I'm a sound designer for video games. I aim to enhance the player experience through storytelling, immersion, and I almost said enraging feedback. Engaging feedback through sound's creative, collaborative, and technical aspects. Considering myself a generalist with an extra love for creature design, I am eager to aid wherever needed to help finish projects to their highest potential. This is like barely about you. The generalist thing, creature design, that's the part that's about you in this whole paragraph. The rest is everyone. I guess some people don't want to do technical things, but this is a pretty generic paragraph. Be aware of that. My career has been an exciting endeavor, beginning as a television and advertisement composer. I transitioned to working as an engineer at a recording studio after finishing college in 2016. After that, I freelanced as a mix engineer and producer, and then worked as audio quality control lead for an audiobook production company. Great, that's all about you. Love it. So good. Since then, I've discovered my love for game audio and its ability to guide player emotions while constantly pushing the boundaries of interactive storytelling. Currently, I'm working as a cinematic audio artist at EA on Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Previously, I have worked on various projects as a sound designer through outsourcing studios, iGame Audio, and Studio 13. Wonderful. You like coffee, cooking, and long walks with your partner and dog. Me too. Big fan of my dog. Yeah, like you're doing it, Yanni. Let's watch your reel. Let's all.
I just have to say props for how fast you switched the Dragon Age thing. My page is still the old name. I loaded it earlier, so that's kind of funny.
Okay, we're gonna watch this thing, I guess. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, and go. Oh, it's doing the thing again. Yeah, cool. Thank you, Yanni. Hey, Rick. Good to see you. Presley, you have thoughts? No?
Come on, man.
Okay, moving on. My only
No,
thing
it was really good. It was great.
Go ahead,
I
please.
think
Yeah.
there was that one clip that kind of just fell into place a little bit. The Super Auto Pets one kind of came out of nowhere, and it was really short. I don't know if it added much to your reel overall. That's all I got.
That is very true. Yeah, it did feel kind of out of place. I feel like you've done enough stuff and know enough about where you want to be and what you want to be doing. Yeah, and you can probably bid farewell to that clip. The one thing design-wise that stood out to me, I would like to hear more of, is this Gears of War sequence with this big old friendly character. In particular, the leg movement and interactions. Be cool to have a little more of that, especially because of how focal this moment is into the SUV or whatever it is, the car, and then dragging it backwards. That drag would be nice to hear. We didn't hear any of that at all. If I play full volume again, I'm pretty sure we didn't hear it. Yeah, there's a bit of like a little bit of one there, but it's a car. Like it's a heavy big thing, and indicating can be nice in terms of saying, hey, it's a big, scary, strong thing. Be aware, it's powerful. Could be nice to have a little more of that in there. Also, feet after this. Pretty much silent as far as all those feet go. And again, we have the opening of this thing is huge, it's hulking, it's strong. And then we have no feet afterwards. So it could be something. Again, a little bit nitpicky, but it is a big thing that we're facing down. And it's important to hear all the various parts of that creature, right? That's all I am willing to say about your stuff because you're really good at your job. So I'm going to go ahead and move on. Nice job.
I'm with you.
Thanks, Andy. Nice gear, nice software for sound indexing. Okay, so next up is Zachary Frey. 23 views 5 days ago. 126, a bit on the long side. We'll see if the content justifies the length. We have a commenter. My baby, a sound designer. Very nice. Okay, someone's a fan. Let's go. 3, 2, 1, and go. All right, thank you, Zachary Frey. I would have liked some of your name at the front and back. Just knowing who this person is can go a long way. Any first thoughts, Presley?
Yeah, great job. Definitely agree. Adding an intro and outro card would be really useful for this kind of stuff. That first clip was probably my favorite. I'm happy you put it first. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Really dynamic, showed off a lot of really cool stuff and a lot of really cool storytelling. So I think that was wicked. I'd say overall, I think the clips are okay. I think the Life is Strange one probably goes on a little bit too long for this reel.
Yeah.
It's a cool dynamic clip to do, especially with all that storm stuff going on. And I know it was one of the sound design challenges for the Discord, so props to that. That's cool. But I'd say probably if you wanted to include it in your reel, you could shorten it by quite a bit and still have it be effective, especially since you're already at 126. You have some room to play around with that. Be careful in your Resident Evil 4 one. Just be careful of how much reverb you're using to meld together all the layers that you have in that creature vocal. It became a little bit muddy in that one, and then you had almost the opposite problem in the Space Marine clip, where there was almost too little reverb. You're on like two opposite sides of the spectrum, which was kind of interesting. But I think you're thinking about things the right way. I think I like the clips that you were choosing, even though it's funny, like the first one is my favorite, and it's also the most different in terms of style.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, overall good stuff.
Well, it's also a good question too. I mean, this is a sound redesign for Planet of Lana, and we have Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 sound redesign. Like, these are super different projects. If you're here for Schmorgel's stuff and here for Elsa's stuff, I mean, this is the same conversation. Like, what ideally, just if we mute your stuff and watch through your demo reel, we should have some idea of the kind of projects you want to work on one day. And this is kind of across the board. So not the end of the world if you're not sure, but be aware when you apply, you might be up against folks who have very focused reels, and they'll just look like they're more invested in the kinds of projects that the company that's hiring is making. So be aware. Big agree. First clip was solid. Big fan. The last clip, the Space Marine 2, kind of suffered from what a lot of more high fidelity AAA style scenes like this, when they're redesigned, what those redesigns suffer from, and that's that they're kind of under-designed. They're done to like 30 to 50, maybe 60%, and there should be a lot more design going on outside the frame. I mean, we have these blood-curdling screams, and then as soon as these creatures leave the frame, we don't hear anything from them again, you know? So we have this scream, and then listen after this scream. I'll play it at a higher volume again, 3, 2, 1. Like that moment right there, the stare down, it's just like by himself, hanging out. There's like nothing else all of a sudden. But of course there's things like rushing towards them. They probably still are screaming. It's a war cry, right? So there's a lot of room to further build the world up around the camera itself, just to help better support the narrative and guide the listener's attention over time to what's important, what's not as important, that kind of thing. So that goes a long way. This opening clip was quite strong in that respect because it is a kind of moment-to-moment focus thing. So we're hearing things as they appear. So that style of design kind of worked better for this clip, but it just, design like that kind of reveals certain shortcomings when you have a clip like Warhammer 40k. So be aware of that. And yeah, agreed, Life is Strange went on long for sure. You can cut this way down. Anything else, Presley?
No, I think you nailed it with all of that. Yeah, like I said, I think the first clip was definitely the strongest out of the bunch. I really, really liked it. And it was also a unique one. I haven't seen it before. So good on you for finding a clip that really stood out in that way too. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. This is these are not clips I've seen frequently. I guess the Life is Strange challenge aside. Also, entertainment spelled wrong here. Don't not entertainment. Be aware of that. Careful of those typos, yo. Thanks, Zachary. Well done. Thank you. Is your mic going crazy there, Presley? That's what you saying in the chat.
Yeah, I don't know. Apparently, at one point you said I was too loud, and now apparently I'm too quiet, and I have not changed the way I'm speaking. So
yeah, I don't know. I've changed your volume a little bit on Discord side, but not much.
It's all good. I mean, this is an old set of headphones that are working for me for now, so I'll take whatever.
Yeah, we'll
as
survive.
As long as it's working, I'm happy.
It's all right. Okay, we got next up is Kyle Noonan. Is Kyle here in the chat? Perhaps make yourself known if you're here, if you like. And let's see what we got. We got a logo in the top, about, and contact. So there's a pretty trim page, looks like. Very nice. Got a few other works. Got is that Towerfall? Jeez. We got bio. I'm Kyle. I'll zoom in a bit. I'm Kyle, a 33-year-old audio engineer currently based out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Thank you for stopping by to check out my work. Happy to. I have been working with audio since 2006. Since then, I have worked with over 100 unique songwriters and bands in freelance and in-house capacities and contributed my audio expertise in various ways to film projects. In recent years, I have been working on personal projects as well as freelancing for independent films. Currently, I'm shifting my focus to linear and interactive audio in the video game industry, a lifelong enthusiasm of mine. I am passionate about excellence in audio and furthering my knowledge and skill with my craft. I'm a strong and effective communicator, possess complex... Whoa, this sentence is crazy. I am a strong and effective communicator, possess complex problem-solving skills, and a team player. This needs some editing because there's like, what is going on there? I am a communicator, and then this next part's a verb, and then the last one's a noun again, so just be aware. That's kind of strange. Also, this last paragraph is kind of back into generic territory. Everyone is passionate about audio, so it's not really a good use of those valuable seconds of reading your stuff. Anything to say about this website stuff off the top here, Presley?
Yeah, I like the theme of it. Like, I think you laid it out nicely and everything, and I like how I think you clearly thought about your color scheme and stuff like that too. So good job on all that. I agree that that last little paragraph could probably just go. I mean, you've already said that by saying that game audio is a lifelong enthusiasm. You're kind of saying the same thing twice there. So I think, yeah, you can probably just get rid of that last little
good
bit.
point.
Yeah, I think I had an interesting sort of like moment when reading your bio, and Kevin, I'm not sure if you'll agree with me on this, but when I was reading it and I saw since then I have worked with over 100 unique songwriters and bands, my brain immediately went musician, close. And if I'm looking for like a sound designer for things, like I don't know, it's a little bit in between for me. We get it a lot where you'll get I don't know, musicians and composers coming in for sound design reels, but thankfully you have your reel up the top, so that kind of balances it out a little bit. So I'm a little bit in between on it.
Yeah. If you're here, Kyle, I mean the thing about like applying for a gig in games is guarantee what's going to happen. Someone opens your page and they go play right away, and then if your stuff slaps, they will then have a reason to care more. And they will scroll down and look at your other things, your bio, your supplementary materials, whatever those things might be. They will then have a reason to. They will not look at those things until they have a reason to, because they have so many people to get through. So, like Presley's saying, it's like, yeah, you might be able to get away with this, but be aware the currently sentence here is the only thing about games in this whole bio. So it feels kind of peppered in at the end. And you do say it's a lifelong enthusiasm, but I mean, you're not really selling it that it is a lifelong enthusiasm. You know, like maybe it's worth saying about your history with games and why games are so important to you, because people in the game space will be reading this bio, you know? Don't be afraid to.
I think it also goes back to the idea of like, you see a lot of people when they're starting out, they say, I'm an aspiring sound designer. No, you are a sound designer.
Oh yeah, sure.
And this kind of feels a very, like, it's sort of in that same vein where it's like, okay, if you are a video game sound designer, that is what you are working towards, that's what you want to do, say it first. Let us know that that's the case. I mean, I think it's really cool that you've worked so much in music, and I think it's important to mention. But maybe even just kind of putting the game stuff first.
Yeah, why not?
In the bio might be good.
Also, I can't believe this Towerfall here is crazy. I mean, it is a older game, so perhaps it is lifelong enthusiasm. Who knows? Let's go ahead and go full screen on this main reel. I'm going to go 1080 first here. I keep not pressing that. And let's have a watch in 3, 2, 1, and go. Whoa, and we're done. Okay. Sudden finish. Like jump scare finish. It was done. Thoughts, Presley, please.
Yeah, definitely. Probably add a title card to the end, or at least a fade out there. Something would be nice to just end the clip. I haven't seen a Mass Effect 3 clip in a while, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also, just 2 in a row with some pretty heavy creature stuff is pretty cool to see. Creatures are pretty tough, so good on you for taking that on. I'd say, on first glance, one other thing is like, the title of the video is just Real 2024. I'd maybe put your name in the title of the video.
Yeah, it can't hurt. Sure.
I'm just seeing Real 2024 at the top when I look at it. Last thing I'll mention, super quick from my perspective, like, good stuff so far. I'd say we kind of had the conversation earlier about adding more layers to a lot of the moments, and your reel is so heavy in that sort of like AAA space that Kevin was talking about earlier that I think the next thing to focus on would be layer. Add more detail to everything that's happening. There were a couple of impacts that I was like, oh, I wish there was like a little bit more sort of like just presence in that impact. So I think you're definitely on the right track with it. I think a lot of the stuff is really, really cool. There were just a couple of moments in there where I was like, I just want a little bit more detail in some of those little sections.
Cool. That got me again. I jumped again at the ending. My God. The YouTube recommends jump scare. Exactly. Jazzy Red, of course. Okay, so one thing too is this middle clip was kind of like the same thing. Yeah, it's on the edge of being kind of the same thing twice. Like the creature here just goes on a bit long, and because we're at 117 for the length, there may be room to dial it back a little bit. The third clip has room to come down. The first clip probably has room to come down a little bit, but like probably third clip, like a bit down third, a bit down second, and then you'll be in that nice kind of 1 minute and something seconds, like 109 at the maximal level. Yeah, the transitions were kind of absent. Just on a presentation note, it's very much like hard cut. It feels very, I took clips, dropped them on a timeline, and called it a day. And it's, again, not the end of the world, not a death sentence, but there are people out there, like Schmorgel in the chat, who has very obviously, thoughtfully put things together as far as not only how they're put together, but what clips to design and what parts to showcase that are going to work well together on a timeline. So those kinds of mindful choices just go a long way because not many people do it. And so that kind of plus, it stands out in a big way. And so when there's nothing, when it's more obvious that sort of like, here's some clips, check it out. Again, not a death sentence, but it's just it's a missed opportunity as far as being a little more standout there. The other thing I want to say is this third clip, Lords of the Fallen redesign. So press play here for a second. There is like the sound of things getting hit, of enemies getting hit at all, just that moment of impact is kind of the same volume regardless of distance and also who is hitting. It's so the player hitting versus other characters hitting, it's just the same thing. And those things are fundamentally not the same meaning to the player. So when you're talking about coming from linear media or music bands into interactive audio, it's really important to be tracking kind of what that player narrative is, what the story is for them specifically in their unique play session, and trying to map your sound to both support that and maybe even drive it forwards. So when you have, again, that I close your eyes and see if you can tell what's happening. And those impacts, I don't think we'd be able to tell if it was us doing that damage or somebody else. And those are very different things. So it's super important to indicate that, make the player feel powerful, more powerful than others even. That's the biggest thing that stood out to me in this clip here. But Presley, anything else to jump on there before we move on?
Yeah, pretty much that. And also, as a player, it's really satisfying. Like I see like the characters like taking the spear out from the back.
Oh, sure.
And like it's just, I don't know, I always find it super satisfying as a player when I'm really hearing like the arming or the loading of a weapon that I'm about to fight with, and I don't hear as much emphasis there. Something else to think about to make this clip even more dynamic would be just like the little things like that.
Yeah, I definitely like the kind of non-diegetic stuff, like the ping and stuff that's happening, that's kind of more gamey. Where I threw a thing at a great distance, and like I nailed that guy. Awesome! I am so cool. I'm so good at my job. Here we go. Bam, gotcha. That ping kind of wide as a little reward to the player. Like, yep, you got him. Nice shot. That's really cool. It's a cool choice creatively, and just be aware of if we hear it all the time for all things, that's going to be a problem. So, yeah, try to balance things out is all. Okay, anything else? Good to move on?
Good to go.
Good to move on. Thank you, Kyle. Congrats on your shift into the game space. Let's go Ariana Mertz. Okay, Wix website again. We got an About Me and Sound Design. About Me is a different page. Okay. So I entered my major of computer game science with the goal of studying and honing my skills in the implementation of audio in a virtual environment. A satisfying immersive experience is incomplete without good audio. Whether it's creating sound effects, voicing characters, or even writing dialogue, defining the sound of a story is what I do. In every project I am fortunate enough to be a part of, I strive to enhance the incredible work of visual artists and truly bring a creative work to life. Okay, cool. It's a little bit short and a little bit generic here and there, but any thoughts there, Presley?
Yeah, I think I like the short and sweet.
Mhm.
I kind of just want to hear more about you. Again, another thing we mentioned a couple of times now is like I truly hope that as a sound designer we all strive to enhance the work of the visual artists.
Sure.
I hope that's our goal. It's kind of a global thing that we should all be working towards. So I want to hear more about you
Yeah.
and what you've done and what you're super interested in and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's we'll often see in bios too where people are just describing the job as opposed to who they are, like, or describing what game audio is. Like, a satisfying immersive experience is incomplete without good audio. That's just a statement about our industry, about video games. It's not about you. So try your best to really dig into details about you, Be across the table from us. Tell us all about yourself. Totally fine. We want to
Actually,
learn.
like in the resume that you have below, like your about in that resume, I would kind of like prefer that style.
Oh, yeah, no
for your
kidding. Look at
website.
this. I'm a dedicated learner who's been implementing sound in games for 6 years. Like, why isn't that in your main bio? That's crazy. Experience with the ebb and flow of indie game development teams. I highly value communication. Have a history of leadership roles and team management. Yeah, talk about those roles. Talk about what you've done, your education. Talk about the projects you've worked on, various things. It's, we want to learn. If we're reading this thing at all, we want to learn something. Please.
I do appreciate that all your color schemes are matching. That's nice. That's a nice
Yeah.
touch.
All right. Many things on the front page. Whole lot of things. We'll go to the top, and we have Sound Reel 2024. It's a minute 20. Again, a bit on the long side. And I saw the word capstone project in there, so it seems like it's a little bit studenty. But we'll see if the 120 is justifiable. All right, in 3, 2, 1, and go.
Step 3. With the sterilized inoculating unit, scoop a sample of the...
All right. Another kind of sudden finish. Jazzy red music is, now is it Ariana or Ariana? Air or R, please. Presley, your thoughts, please. 120?
Yeah, it's I think you have a lot of cool stuff going on. I like how much I'm seeing that you're doing from implementation. Pretty much all of those clips except for like the Tomb Raider one at the end were things that you've done, which was really nice to see.
Mhm.
The Tomb Raider clip kind of comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Um which I'm like kind of in between on it. The nice thing about your reel is that we're seeing how much you're doing on the implementation side, and that like yes, you are seriously working in with games and doing all that kind of stuff, and that's great. But unfortunately, some of the clips that you chose don't show as much sound design as I would have liked to see from the projects that you were doing. If I'm looking at this from the perspective of watching a sound design reel, I feel like I would have wanted to hear some of those sound effects more front and center. Like a lot of these clips, I'd love to hear you talk more about in an implementation reel, in a long form implementation reel, going through how you did some of these things. But for the sound design reel, I want to hear some of those more dynamic moments that might have been in those projects that you worked on, just to get more of a sense of where you're at design wise and what your kind of general style is.
Yeah. Also, this third one, custom voice filtration. You kind of add these little things: dynamic music implementation, and then you have instrument-oriented musical changes, and then you have custom voice filtration. It's kind of a lot of text here. Like this is, I appreciate the formatting and telling us what this thing is important. Yes. So this stuff probably all has to be here. The bottom line, I don't know if it needs to be here, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of up to you. It's the more text you add, the more I'm reading and not really looking at your work or listening to your work, you know? So try and find a balance there is all. The other thing here too, I definitely was caught a bit off guard, I'll say. So comparing your about page where it says, you have a history in leadership roles and team management. That I now understand to probably mean like your capstone project team or something like that. Is that accurate to say? Because that's not quite the same thing that I would expect from, I mean, people could say that and that could mean I led an audio team, or I was a producer on a project and made sure everyone got their job done. Like that's kind of, it's a little bit like stretching what's going on, like a little bit when it's student stuff. It's not the end of the world, but if that's what you're referring to, just be aware it can kind of come across as like, oh, okay, it's student stuff though. Also, when it comes to student projects, which I think is your first three things, so LCAD, certainly student, capstone stuff, certainly student, UCI, Digital Learning Research Project, also student, I assume, UCI. So these things, it's all well and good to show off things you made in school, and you're obviously proud of them. You should be. It's really hard to get these things done. It's hard to like finish a project at all. It's amazing. So the Patient Zero was, okay, you were audio producer on the Patient Zero VR project, which is a combo of students and alumni. Okay, so still studenty, that's fine. Be aware that when it comes to student projects, you have a lot of colleagues and like just fellow students at school who have done these same things or have done other projects like this. And those student projects might appear in a demo reel or on a website, in their portfolio, whatever. And that's totally fine. But be aware that they might not land as effectively as something you've done on your own time. And that's because when I'm in school, like I went to audio school and I did the projects and I enjoyed some of them and I did enjoy others, and I worked hard on some and didn't work hard on others, but they got done, you know? And the thing is, when you show student projects, it's not really always an effective display of that passion that everyone hopes to show in their work, because that passion can be shown very obviously through something you just decided to do. If you're doing like a UE5 personal project and make a thing and implement it and be like, hey, here's the thing I made, pretty cool, right? It's like, yeah, you didn't have to do this and you chose to, and that's amazing. You obviously are deeply invested in this stuff. Whereas student projects, you did because you kind of had to, like you're paying the tuition and you're in this space and your student colleagues are depending upon you. So it's it's just a bit of a different kind of dynamic there as far as where these things came from, you know? So this Tomb Raider clip, I agree, came out of nowhere because it looks nothing like the previous 3 clips. But I love that it's here because this is the first thing we've seen that I assume indicates the kind of work that you want to be doing one day. Like not these, student-y things, right? So if that's true, Ariana, like let us know if Tomb Raider is the kind of project you want to work on. This is fantastic. I might suggest leading with it as when someone clicks, again, that if you were here earlier on, I think you were, the quote as far as in 10 seconds, make me want to hear more. Your first 10 seconds aren't like white knuckle. They aren't terrible, but it's not Tomb Raider. So if you have this as your first 10 seconds, it's like not bad either as far as the redesign goes. So throwing it first, you might grab attention a little more. And then after that, like, oh, and by the way, I was in school and stuff, but like, this is what I want to do over here. It might be a little better crafted story of you compared to I was in school for a while and also I did made this thing. It feels very afterthoughty as opposed to this is the main event, you know? Presley, anything else you want to talk about? That's the biggest issue in my eyes. But anything else to touch upon?
No, I think I definitely agree. Like, if anything, like I'm stoked to see more stuff from you, like the Tomb Raider clip. I think you were doing a really good job on it. So, just like keep up with that kind of stuff. And yeah, I just want to see more from you.
I want to see more too. I mean, that's great. We want to see more. And unfortunately, right now, there isn't more to see. So this is a great problem to have, Ariana, as far as like you've successfully made people want to hear more. And now it's on you to make more to hear, right? So good on you. Thanks a lot. Oh my God, the tabs are now coming away from the right side of the window. Look at this. They're now only 2/3 across.
We're almost there.
And one of them is the Immortal OST. So it's only 6 tabs and really only 5 tabs. Killer. Asher
I think
Waves.
it's 5 left, right? Yeah.
5 left. Yeah, Asher Waves. Asher Gleason. Very short and sweet page. Only one thing, just a reel. And a few links, Instagram, YouTube, Itch. And Itch link's pretty cool. Nice. All right, I'm going to go make sure we are in full quality, which is not 360, it is 1080. And then full screen, and 3, 2, 1, and go. That saucy reverb tail at the end. Ooh. Oh. All right. It's a minute on the... Oh, YouTube corrected itself. It said a minute, now it says 59. So on the dot almost. Presley, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, good stuff so far. I liked your little intro. It was cool.
Yeah.
I would say it almost similar to the last one that we watched. You have a bit of a sort of like varied amount of things here in terms of like I'm not really sure what you want to go towards. With like the Doom clip at the end and the Crash Bandicoot at the beginning, and then the two like the sort of more game jammy style ones in between. But it's cool to see that like you're doing the game jams and you're getting that kind of stuff out there. I would just kind of consider the order of things a little more maybe. But yeah, I don't know. It's cool.
I like seeing game jam stuff kind of peppered in at the end. As a, by the way, I'm out there doing stuff. I have experience working with a team, and I'm doing this because I want to, because no one's forcing you or paying you to work at a game jam, right? Of course, you're out there, you want to make friends, you want to make something cool. That's fantastic. The Doom being at the end is kind of, a bit of a strange jump from Crash even. Like, Crash Bandicoot's not Doom like at all. So it's Team size wise, like there's some similarities there. Fidelity of project, there's some similarities there, but quite different projects. So yeah, I mean, it's cool if you want to work on both those kinds of games. Just be aware that focus can help. That's all. Design wise, did anything stick out to you, Presley?
I'm just like watching it again here. There's two things that I actually really liked about it. I actually think the Crash Bandicoot clip was probably my favorite out of the bunch. I think there was a lot of cool textures in that I really, really liked. And then the Will of Beasts, your Wise demo, I found really interesting because I think there were a few bits of design in there that like really shone through. And then a few things that weren't quite at the same level, but I really wanted them to be. Like the blob, the black blob that kind of comes in. Some really nice textures to it, and it sounded really nice in the space and everything else. But then there was like not as much of an impact when it actually kind of disappeared, and I wanted more from that. Yeah, but I think like the Crash clip was actually my favorite out of the bunch, I think.
Yeah, and I wonder, this is the kind of thing too where I want to learn more. What is the Will of Beasts? What is this demo? And
I want to see more out of it. I was really curious about it.
And because this site is so bare bones, we kind of can't learn anymore. You know, I mean, even if I press YouTube, what else is there? There's a redesign breakdown and the full version of the Crash redesign, maybe the same length. I don't know. Yeah. So Asher, it's like this is where you don't want to be, ideally. You know, have more coming soon, for sure. Fair. But yeah, I mean, this is a great place to be. I mean, not unlike Ariana as far as we want to learn more, and there isn't more to learn quite yet. So if you have those supplementary materials, yeah, it goes so far. Because I mean, we have a question of what is Will of Beast, and you're like, well, coming right up, here it is. Here's a full breakdown. He's gonna be talking through commentary on implementation of that ball orb thing you love so much. Here's how we did it. You know, goes a very long way. It's cool. The one thing that stood out to me, and this is very nitpicky, I do love a good nitpick, is when we get across off this water in Crash. Maybe it's fine. I was thinking the water overstayed its welcome. It's kind of like on the edge, though.
I could see where you're coming from with it.
It's just when I talk about audio driving player behavior, we have that waterfall over here, and as soon as we land on this dock, the waterfall and water don't matter anymore. Like, we're going this way. So the idea of having this like whoosh behind us, having it fade out over time, sure, might support this idea of going from point A to point B, but I'd much rather be hearing things to come as opposed to things behind me, just in terms of driving player behavior stuff, you know. But it's not like an egregious issue, just sort of something that came to mind as I was watching the first time through.
Or even just having like an extra layer of like bubbling or something while you're going over the water that more immediately cuts out. Like, I feel like you'd have more space that way to have the rest of the audio, sort of like the bed of the waterfall, kind of go away at the same speed that it is now.
Yeah, sure.
Attenuate at the same speed, but then having that little more close-up bubbly action, I don't know, might sell the change a little bit more without being overly dramatic with it.
Cool. Hot tips. Okay, I think I'm keen to move on, though. Just watching the clock. I have a meeting at 3. So I was like, I should be okay. I expect to work long today. That's fine, but I just need to be aware of that.
4 more. We can do it.
Okay, 4 more. Thanks, Asher. Yo. And Asher, and anybody else, too, if you want to follow up and ask any like specific style questions we didn't get to, if you want feedback on something specifically, then feel free to hit me up on Twitter or Discord or wherever, and I'll try and find time to do just that, all right? But for now, thank you, Asher. Just do more things. That's the biggest issue right now. Just give us more things to look at. All right, next is Straddling Audio. This is the 2 things, though. We have a YouTube video that's 113. Andres Buitrago? I don't know. I'm probably butchering this. I'm sorry. Straddling Audio, level up your audio. You know, Power Up Audio is almost called Level Up Audio. It's very close. The government didn't allow it. There's already Level Up software or something. We couldn't do it. So level up your audio post-production services, SFX editing, sound design, etc. Okay. And then at the top, we have homework, bio, reels, contact. Okay. So bio, let's have a glance here. Bio. I'm a freelance SFX editor and sound designer based in Mexico. I got my bachelor's in audio engineering and music production from ITESM. My journey into sound started with all sorts of experiences. Whoa. From music production to sound production to even scoring for films. Around mid-2020, I leaped into freelance sound design for both motion pictures and video games. In my portfolio, you'll find some cool stuff. Hey, well, I'll decide that. One of my proudest moments was working on a big project such as, Bridge of Spirits. No way. That's killer. It's a game by Ember Lab. Yes, we know. I did some freelance work for Austin Wintry. Cool. A top-notch composer. Never got to meet him personally. You can leave that out. Who cares? Doesn't matter. It's fine to say you worked with them. That's good enough. On a Netflix series where I showed off my skills as a music editor. Plus, I've been the supervising sound editor and re-recording mixer for a YouTube channel that tells animated stories. It blew up with over 5.5 million followers and 1 billion views. Oh, and I've also worked on a podcast that's building a solid fan base. Hope that gives you a good sense of what I'm about. Yeah, it's just first glance, you have room to edit things down a bit. We don't need to have things like the never got to meet him. It's not really about you. That's fine. Nor does it really help you in any way. That's fine. You can also get rid of this "it's a game by" just making this a link instead. If people want to learn more, they can click it and learn. You could also link Austin Wintry. Wouldn't be a bad idea. And you could link the YouTube channel you are talking about rather than just saying it generally. Like, what channel is it? And things like and hope that gives you a sense. These kind of things can go also. Just keep it nice and clean and professional. That's totally fine. Any other thoughts there, Presley?
Yeah, pretty much the same thoughts from me. Like some of these things, you just don't need to put them there. And I kind of like it in a way because it's kind of giving me a little bit of your personality. But I think you can show that in other ways, and you don't necessarily have to have like all of the extra words.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything in the brackets, you don't need. It's okay. But I like that you're doing a lot of stuff. You can tell that you're doing a lot of stuff. So I think that part's pretty cool.
Word. So I see at the top here, work, films, video games, animation, podcasts, and then we have reels, but the front page, home, has a video also. This is a coffee B-roll sound redesign. Okay, this
like a lot
isn't...
of links and I don't know where to look.
Yeah, so I know you sent us 2 links here, Andres, but this, if it's what you want us to see, should probably be just first and foremost right here. Or if you still want to focus in a variety of places, perhaps even have different versions of your site, one for games, one for film, etc. And if you're talking to someone in games, send them the games link, because the post-production stuff, the film stuff just isn't as relevant to them. Like even this photograph you have here isn't super relevant to someone who's making an indie game. It's like they're not going to have camera equipment and stuff necessarily. So having things just nice and focused in the game space can be good for you. It indicates you have a passion for games and you're in this space, etc. And B, is just courteous to your visitor to make sure they're focused on things that are most relevant to them. For the moment, I'll go to Reels, and it looks like we have, even here, cute, chill sound reel. Is this the same thing? This is 5 days ago, so I assume we're just going to ignore your page and just watch your reel instead. We'll just watch the secondary link. Okay. So let's go 3, 2, 1, and go. Cool. Man, that Optimus Prime clip goes on for so long. He just keeps transforming.
Yeah, it's a
keeps
very
going.
long transformation.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, we have the split of film and games thing we saw from others earlier in this stream. Anything else to talk about there, Presley?
Overall cool stuff. I think there were a lot of really interesting clips. Make sure you have a title card. I know you have an end card.
Yeah.
Make sure you have a title card in there as well. I want to play that frog game.
Yeah, right?
I want to play the frog game. I'm happy you put it in there because I really want to play the frog game. I feel like, yeah, like it's all really cool. I feel like the Transformers clip is just really out of place with everything else that you're doing, and it's also really long. I'm wondering if you have, because I know you have more stuff on your website, with some other clips that you've done. I kind of want to see more of that, especially like you have in your reel that you've done a little bit of stuff for like Kana, Bridge of Spirits. I'd love to see that in your reel if it's available.
Yeah.
You know, like there's room for some of the other clips that I'm seeing from you and the things that I know you've done that would stylistically match better and also just be closer to the game space than the Transformers clip. So just something to think about in terms of the layout of it. But yeah, I think a lot of the design is really cool.
Yeah, there's stuff too with the titles like TFT fighters, like Team Fight Tactics. Just spell it out. Just do the full name. And also with the titles you've chosen, they're kind of, there's no like background to the text, like drop shadow or like a dark opacity, like a black strip or something like that. So things like Transformers is hard to read, like this right here, for example, and things like the Frog Rain implementation butts in with the light colored stuff here too. Just can't hurt as far as some details just to make it easier to read. Also, what is Frog Rain? Is it by a developer? Is it your personal project? Having some context next to this thing in parentheses can't hurt too. Personal project or game by whatever team or something like that. The whole thing seemed quiet to me. Is that your experience too, Presley? As soon as it started, I was like, I checked my volume, and it's a danger, Andreas, because the thing is, if I've pressed play, if you've gotten as far as putting this thing in front of somebody and they pressed play, that's amazing, foot in the door. And then if the first thing they do is go, oh, is my knob, like, is it turned down or something? Did I change a setting somewhere? Like, if they're thinking that, right away, you've lost them. They're already somewhere else. They're looking over here. They're not watching your awesome work. So make sure it's up at a good loudness level, the whole thing. It's double check against other media, right? And then I love seeing in development stuff like this kind of gray boxed, just programmer art, yellow circles, red rectangles, all this stuff. I love seeing these kind of things sound designed because this is sound design world building. You get to say, hey, that red stuff, that's lava. Hey, that red stuff, that's water. Like you can just decide what that thing is by sound alone. So it's really cool seeing these things in development. And just again, I want to play the frog game too. I want to know what this is. Please tell us more about the frog game. And yeah, like the note, I gotta just reiterate the Bridge of Spirits thing. If you worked on this thing, like you gotta put it in your reel somehow. This reel should represent, hey, you only have a minute. Here is the quickest gist of who I am and the most important things I've worked on, the biggest things in terms of my career so far. That seems like a big one. You put in your bio how proud you are of that. So why not in your reel too, you know? That's my main concerns. I think everything else has been the biggest concerns, at least, have been covered there. Good to move on, Presley? Okay, we got 3.
I realize I'm nodding and I don't have my mic on, but yes.
I can see you. That's all right. I got you. All right, one more clap for Andres. Thank you. We got Batman up front here. Daniel Jacob Portfolio, recording Batman. Amazing. I assume this is Daniel, at least. If it's not, this is a strange photo. Okay, I'm just going to zoom in a bit as well. I keep forgetting to do that. So another Wix page, we got home, work, about, contact, testimonials on the front page. So right away, we're kind of searching for something to listen to, which is not great. Ideally, we want to just land on this page, Daniel, and just press play and start learning something right away without needing to look around. We got music, post, AFN, and film. Okay,
I think this is one of the ones that was website only. I'm just double checking to see if there's any more information. Sadly, there is no reel. It is just my website, and would love your feedback. I'm currently trying to get a lot of sound design projects done, but at the moment, I've been doing a lot of live sound events and post-production.
I gotcha. Yeah, if you're working, I mean, that's fantastic. That's a good reason to not be working your demo if you're doing work for clients instead. I mean, Power Up Audio didn't have a legit demo for like 12 years. We're just, I mean, thankfully busy, right? But the trick is that once those projects, or if those projects dry up for any reason, or you lose them, or they are just they're just done, then suddenly the need for a demo reel goes up a lot more, right? So trying to find time where you can to fill out your page and do those kind of things can go a long way. About me, I'm an audio engineer based in Dubai. My love for music started as a young boy. I was introduced to jazz by my parents. Since then, music has been my passion. My love for the different genres and the desire to experiment and mix led me to a career in audio engineering. I'm currently pursuing a Bachelor of Audio Engineering at SAE Institute, Dubai, to further develop my skills. Would love to know more about you yet. Presley, your thoughts?
Yeah, I know that you're in school, and I know that you're still like working on things, so this is sort of it's more of a future situation. But if I were to see this, and again, looking for a sound designer for games, this to me is, oh, they are a musician. They're musician first, sound designer second, which would be kind of my concern by reading something like this. But I know that you're still kind of like working on it, so I understand why you've said it the way you are.
Yeah, I mean,
but
even
adding
post for
something
film
in the beginning,
right?
to say, I'm a video game sound designer, that kind of deal.
Yeah, and do you know if Daniel wants to work in games?
Oh, that's I think it's actually film. I think I just
But even film,
Yeah.
it's not really clear
Yeah.
about that either. Like neither thing just says music as a young boy and then mixing kind of, but like nothing about sound editing or sound design or just the whole post process. It just doesn't have a lot here. So could be nice to know
Yeah, like,
more
I'm not
about
quite
what you're
sure,
into.
but-
Also, what's the deal with Batman? Like are you field recording stuff? Are you working that event? Like what is this? I'd love to know. Okay, and then in terms of work stuff, just having that reel up front is going to be so helpful to give people a reason to click through these things. Because right now, it's back to the kind of junk drawer of stuff thing we were talking about earlier, where it's just like, here's a bunch of things. What do you think? Have a look. And you risk us clicking your weakest thing. And it might not even be weak. There just might be stronger things to click that would be more effective in getting you from point A to point B faster. Point B being getting your foot in the door, getting a job, whatever. That's the biggest issue here. And it's a very big issue currently. So yeah, please make that real. Please put it front and center right here. Anything else worth mentioning there?
No, I think that's kind of all I got. Yeah, just
Cool.
be careful about making sure that what you want to show is the easiest thing to find.
Yes. Make it easy. Thank you, Daniel. All right, we got 2 left. Are we stoked? I'm stoked. This is a marathon. I knew it was going to be. It's all right.
Thank you for marathoning it with me.
Oh, Amin Larby? Is that right? Darby? Larby? I think it's Larby. We have Mo Larby 6478 down here. Probably Larby. Flippin' Mangoose. I think, was on Real Talk like a month ago or something, a little more than that. Cool. Only a video, easy. So I guess it's 1:15, a bit long, but we'll see. 3, 2, 1, and go. All right. Thank you. Thank you. I feel like this. Oh God, sorry. This first clip here, with the running and so forth. I feel like this was far more samey last time I watched it on Real Talk, as in like from clip to clip. So cool. Seems it's changed. Seems it's been updated as per the sound design challenge. It's great. First thoughts, Presley, please. Have at her.
Yeah, good stuff. Get your title cards up there. Make sure your title cards are up there. But it's cool stuff. I like seeing reels when they do like you have a bit of a clip first and then you have your title card and then you keep going. This one felt a little bit long to do that. Like I almost kind of went back to see if you had a title card because it was lasting a little bit too long for me before it happened. So just kind of, I guess, if you're gonna do that kind of stylistic choice, 15 seconds into the video is a tiny bit long for me. But like, cool idea either way. Maybe just find a new place to put it.
Yeah.
Other clips, yeah, I think you did great with the marathon clip. I definitely think you updated it a lot, and I really like what you're doing with it. I also like what you added to that Avowed clip. I think I've seen that one before too, and there seems to be a lot more detail in it, so good job there. I think out of the whole reel, I think the weakest clip is probably the Last of Us one, just because I don't find it's showing off a whole lot of what I want to hear from you. And like the sniper rifle and the bow and arrow, you have this really great opportunity here to make a really big comparison, like a really big difference between the shot of a sniper rifle and the shot of the bow and arrow, and they felt like a little bit on the same level, which probably added to that particular one feeling a little bit weaker in terms of what you were showing off. But overall, I like the clips that you have. Overall, I like what you're doing with them, and yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I think I'll just focus on, I mean, we just talked about your stuff, I mean, like super recently, so I'll focus on just this first marathon clip. I think, so, okay, I'll just go a little louder here. Yeah, the two clips are so obviously different now. However, it does feel like you're leaning on that high pitch, like kind of tone pretty hard. That's the main. Yeah, I know you are in chat. That's fine. That's the main kind of indicator for now we're in the green room, and now we're in the hallway, and now we're in the green room, and because it's a high frequency tone and it's an unchanging tone, you can definitely dial that kind of thing back in the mix. I mean, high frequency stuff pokes to the mix so effectively, and the human ear is literally built to interpret high frequencies very efficiently, so you don't need to be quite so heavy-handed with it. You can pull it way back, and you had all these textures I recall hearing last time around that I don't really hear anymore because it's like it's really just way out front. So that's my one gripe. I would love to hear this same redesign with that high-pitched thing pulled back like 12 dB, like a lot, because you're still going to hear it guaranteed, and still hearing it is going to also still serve its purpose of separating between the different spaces, you know. But that's the biggest thing. And yeah, as far as just other details here and there, yeah, I mean, there's obvious little changes here and there that I know you made since we last talked, so good on you. You know, keep going. But also, don't be afraid to call a clip done and apply things you've learned to new clips. Like, there's no reason to get hung up on the same thing forever. It's always a question of kind of balancing, like, okay, well, can I change this easily and get a big win out of it and keep it because I like the rest of it like a whole lot? Or do we just say, okay, this project, this redesign is finished, and I'm keen to move on with my life and take on a new project and make that instead and then replace that in the end? Up to you in the end, of course. But I mean, yeah, like last time, there's some really strong design here, and I think you've already made some massive leaps and bounds compared to last time we were talking. So good on you. Anything else, Presley?
No, that's about it. And on your note of like taking what you've learned and applying it to a new clip, something else that you could think of doing is putting it just away for a bit, trying new clips, and then coming back to it after you do a number of other projects just to see how much you've improved over that time too, instead of just keeping on working on the same clip over and over and over again, all kind of one after the other.
Yeah, it's very easy to get hung up on a thing and just never put it down. That goes for any project. I mean, there are video games that take years and years and years to make, and it's like, man, this thing should have been out 3 years ago, but we're still working on it. Just happens. Okay, Thanks a lot, Amin. Good to see you again. Last one, Troy Hoggart. I saw you roll into the chat a little while ago. Troy Hoggart, I think it was like Troy Hoggart VO, that wasn't it, or something like that? Yeah, you're there in the green. Troy Hoggart VO, really nice. Hello, welcome to the chat. So we got a voiceover focused logo here. It's Troy Hoggart voiceover and also Troy Hoggart VO in the chat. So this is interesting because it's troyhoggartvoiceover.com/sound design. I don't know if I've ever seen this before, actually. I've seen sound designers who say, I do VO also. I mean, I think a lot of us do because we just voice creatures and stuff, right? Naturally. But I've never seen, I don't think, a voiceover, like a so heavily voiceover focused page and logo and so forth, branding, everything. And then also, hey, sound design. So I'm very curious. We'll see how it goes. I mean, home is, here's the voiceover. And then top side, we have a lot of tabs. Demos, portfolio, testimonials, sound design, rates, specs, about, contact. So we'll focus on sound design and about, I guess. So about first.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Troy Hoggart, and I have a passion for everything creative. I have always been fascinated with stories. In my childhood, I would be lost in an audiobook or away on some grand adventure in my imagination, playing the hero or the wise old mentor or the clumsy robot friend. As I grew, my interests expanded to media, literature, and video games. Now, many years later, I am a professional voiceover artist, sound designer, and content creator, and I am lucky enough to be working in some of the same industries I fell in love with all that time ago. Bringing a creative vision to fruition is what drives me both professionally and personally. If you have a story you'd like to tell, weird apostrophe. Get in touch. I'd love to hear from you. Why is this apostrophe so weird? It's like, it's a weirdo one. Cool. Great. So a bit salesy, that's fine. I've found a lot of voiceover pages are like that. That's totally fine. Par for the course. Sound design reel, video games. Okay. And a bunch of sound redesigns too. First, any thoughts there, Presley? I kind of cut you off there.
No, it's all good. Yeah, basically that. I think it, like the the about section definitely leans VO, which, I mean, it looks
true.
like that's pretty much a lot of your page. So, if
Yeah.
that's kind of what your main thing is, then that totally makes sense. I'd say just because of how much you have on this website, it might be worth your time thinking about making a new page for sound design if you want to be a little bit more serious about that side of things, like a new website. You have troyhoggartvoiceover.com.
Yeah.
So like my immediate thought would probably be that you're almost solely a VO artist, even though that's clearly not the case. So a potential thing for the future, if you really want to dig into the sound design side of things, maybe making an entirely separate website for that might be good. And then somewhere on that website you can link, if you want to see some of my voiceover work, here's my demo for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I'm not really sure. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it was on Dress's page earlier that had the kind of film and game stuff separately. We were suggesting have slash film or slash video games or whatever, slash game audio. And that becomes more difficult if your core domain name is troyhoggartvoiceover.com. So a little tricky. And yeah, the thing is with this too, Troy, is that you're not going to have many people stumbling upon your website because they need a sound designer. It's way more likely you will be applying to things. You will be going to meetups and passing your business card across or emailing someone to follow up with a friend you met at whatever, through a friend or something. Like you're going to be making some kind of connection there. So there will be an opportunity to give them the link to your game audio website as opposed to just letting them find you randomly. It goes a long way just to help them see, hey, here's like my game audio stuff. And by the way, if you're interested in voiceover, I have this page over here too. Like it can't hurt that way. Just helps to show some focus. So I'm very curious. Let's have a listen, shall we? Oh, I'm frozen though. Give me a sec. My machine is falling apart on cue. There we go. We're back. Okay. So 1 second. Let me do the quality thing first. It's going to be lying to me for sure. 1080. Yes. Okay. So 3, 2, 1, and go. We got Joey rolling into the chat with the hot take of big volume difference there. Probably here to make sure I'm okay. He's like, is Kevin alive right now? Is he? I haven't seen him in Slack for a while. This is our last real Joey. We're stoked. Marathon stream today for sure. Yeah, volume difference is the first thing to bring up there for sure. Presley, any other first thoughts?
Yep, definitely agree there. We've talked a lot about a lot of these clips already, Troy, so I won't go too into detail here. But yeah, overall, good stuff. I like kind of how heavy you're making a lot of these clips and stuff like that. I see that you very recently updated this reel, because I think I was talking to you like a couple of days ago and it was different. So good on you for that. Yeah, other than what was already mentioned there with the volume stuff, I'd say overall I think you're doing some really cool stuff. I think just be careful of things sounding a little bit too samey in terms of the weight and the texture and stuff like that. There were a couple of clips where it would change from either one perspective to another or one clip to another, and I almost felt like it was the same clip. I mean, stylistically, that's a good thing. It means that you really know what you're going for. Just be careful about it being too much of the same thing sometimes.
Yeah, it's always a question of kind of, or a danger of walking that line, a question of walking that line between I have a voice and here it is, and I have skills that can fit your project. It's like, well, if you have a defined voice and your reel is suggesting that that's your voice and you're not going to stray from that, then you could be the kind of person that is like niche hired. Like, this is my thing. I am hired for this thing. Hire me, please. Here we go. And it's like, oh, damn, this is like for sure Troy Hoggart's design. It sounds like Troy Hoggart. Or if you want to be adaptable and third-party audio, freelance audio, working for a team that's working on a variety of things, reliable to work on a variety of things for a given studio, like whatever it might be, then having that one voice or suggesting that this is your voice is maybe detrimental. So it's a balance there for sure. The first two clips, I do want to talk about this volume thing a bit, because this first clip, when I say volume, it's not just from clip to clip, it's within a clip as well. So this volume going from this big door blast thing into here, it's like, wow, we dropped so much into this next clip as far as volume goes. And the intensity should be pretty similar. I mean, this fight is right up in our face. This is all that matters in this gameplay moment. The Annihilator. I mean, this thing's got to be loud, right? We got to feel powerful as a player. Bring that stuff up. But then later in the same clip, when there's kind of the purple VFX and stuff, those things are then the little shift effect, the dash effect. That's so loud again. So it almost feels like you left a track at a lower volume or something. It came across very strangely. So the thing is, the design is not bad. It just is kind of weird. If that's to use a general term, it's kind of weird. So if those are balanced out, then awesome. But then the last thing I want to mention in terms of volume stuff is that you probably still have room. I mean, no, you definitely still have room to consider what's important to the player in terms of making them feel powerful, in terms of communicating important information to them, in terms of driving narrative forwards, these various important concepts in interactive audio. Think what those things are and bring those to the front, and not just what those things are, but what things are not, and bring those things down. And if we have something like, and not just down because they're not important, but because it can make the bigger things sound louder and more exciting. So if we have things like this building moment of, we have this opening sequence, sounds so cool, textures are great, love it, but everything's kind of loud and important. And if everything's loud and important, then nothing's important. It's all just the same level of intensity. So this specifically, one thing as an opportunity, with this hand going in, I mean, nothing's happening yet. There's some build-up stuff, but I would argue this starting moment of this hand sequence, if I mute it, this starting moment, it's locking in with these like light tendrils and stuff into the door, and then bam, big explosion. That's of course a more important moment than the start of these tendrils. So is there room to kind of maybe introduce with a little spike in volume, but then drop way down and just like, oh, what's going to happen? And wha-bam, right? We have that kind of that ebb and flow that way, as opposed to like, holy shit, everything's loud. Like, it's not quite the same effect, you know, despite the fact that your design is pretty strong. Presley, over to you, please. Any other thoughts?
No, 100% the same thing. Just playing with dynamics a bit more and really what's important to the scene, I think, is going to be sort of like the critical point, like moving forward as you continue to develop your reel and stuff like that. I think your designs are great. Like, I think you're thinking of things the right way. Texturally, it's all really cool. I just want to see more dynamics in all the scenes. I just want to see more focus and more things taken away from the focus as well.
Yeah, those focus. It's not just for presentation stuff, although that's certainly an important factor. It's to communicate your aptitude for interactive audio and your gaming sensibilities. That's the biggest thing that you stand to benefit from by putting more attention into those important moments. I mean, even after this blast, we have this kind of bam, and then there's all these VFX all bursting away. But even this, despite the intensity, is not going to be as big as that blast was. So I mean, we have room to come back down again, and then like build. What's going on? And boom, big burst of whatever. Right? There's room to drop back down and then back up again. And even that moving over time serves to kind of foretell what's coming next. It's like, oh, we're dropping off. What's coming? And back into a big burst again. So it's not just about designing what you see. It's like what is actually happening in terms of cinematography, in terms of just the story being told. You know, because you claim over here and you're about that you've always been fascinated with stories, right? There it is. So there's certainly room to further use your skills to tell those stories. All right. That's the biggest takeaway here by a wide margin. If that's the next thing to focus on, then you're in good shape. All right. Anything else to say before we close this last tab, Presley?
I think we got through it.
Oh my lord! By 5 minutes to go until 3 p.m. Holy. Okay. Let's not do this again for a while.
Yep.
At least like
agree.
3 years or something like that. We'll do it again. Thank you so much, Presley Hynes. This one's for you right here. One more clap for you. Please claps in the chat. This is not just me marathoning through this 3-hour stream. This was Presley as well, Gearbox senior sound designer. Do you have anything else you want to shout out as far as like Discord stuff or Gearbox stuff? Anything at all? The floor is yours.
Yeah, first, again, thank you so much again for running through this with me. I think it was a great opportunity for the Sound Design Discord to make all this happen. And I really, really appreciate you taking the time to do all this because I know it was definitely a long one, but I think it was certainly worth it. Thank you so much for that. We will have another sound design challenge coming up this weekend. It'll be sure to be a fun one, I hope. If anyone needs the link to the Discord, if you want to join in, like I said, we do these monthly, so feel free to stop by. I'll put that in the chat there now.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, perfect.
But yeah, again, seriously, Kevin, thank you so much.
Happy to, as always. I love this thing, you know? I'm happy to jump on Real Talk. Every time, it's like always a good time. It's kind of refreshing to just blast through and be like, that's all we have time for, moving on. Because again, this hopefully gives you an idea of how long people might stand or might chill on your page. And the thing is, we still spend way more time per person than a given person would if they're hiring for a role. Like way, way, way more. Speaking from experience, it was not unusual to open a page and 12 seconds later say, nope, and close. It's just, it may sound heartless, but there's just so much to get through. It's just not feasible to spend 10 minutes or even 5 minutes on everyone's page. 2 even, you know? So hopefully that all came across there. Thank you everyone in chat who hung out for the 3 hours. And I guess I'm off to Hawaii in 2 days, hence the shirt, I suppose.
Nice.
A little getting in the spirit. And I'll be back in 2 weeks' time, though, for another edition of Real Talk. I'm going to go ahead and play some more Immortal OST and thank Presley one more time before I let you go. And we'll catch up later, okay? See you
Thanks.
around. Bye-bye.
This is awesome.
Okay, and we can. Oh, I failed the drop off on. There we go. Drop that too. Okay. Thank you everyone, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time. Let Immortal play us off. And Presley says time to not talk for like 5 days. Yeah, fair. Okay, thanks everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Peace.